Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Elevator Nights. This is our 5th virtual elevator night. We're going to be doing these every single Sunday from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, totally for free during the quarantine. And we might do it a bit beyond the quarantine depending on how it shakes out. Let me give you a bit of background. This is my lovely wife, Casey. You can follow her on Instagram at Casey Loves Fitness. She built up over 1 million followers focusing on the fitness industry, but also is obsessed with fashion. So I'm excited to have her join me this evening, and our co-host, Riley. So, Elevator Nights has been going on for over 6 years now. We've thrown 38 events that have between 300 and 1,000 people in person. During the quarantine, because we can't have those in-person events, we decided to take it virtual for you guys. So the way it works is, every 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to have a different speaker come on here. We have over a dozen speakers, all focused on the fashion, beauty, and marketing industry space. During that time, we'll also be doing giveaways and prizes via Cash App, PayPal, and also physical prices like these big wooden crates. I would pick it up, but it's really heavy. We have these crates from 100millionacademy.com. They have almost $500 worth of products, from Steve Aoki headphones, chargers, a bunch of crazy stuff is inside of these. So we ship these to your homes, and we'll have different prizes that some of these speakers are donating as well. So some of the people are donating some watches, clothing, gift cards, etc. So what you'll do to win those prizes is just watch and listen and be active in the comment section. Casey actually graduated from FITM and was actually focused on the fashion space. That's how we first met around half a decade ago. Could you give a bit of background?
Oh gosh, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about this before we started. Actually, how I met Dan is I used to have a small swimwear line that I did out of my house for way too many hours a day for many years. I was designing everything, sewing it. I was going out and marketing it and selling it and doing the whole 9 yards. And I heard about Dan being an investor in some pretty big companies, and I thought, well, hey, why not go pitch him? And
I pitched her on life, so here we are.
Changed everything.
Locked it up.
Still love fashion, though.
Okay, so Elevator Studios, our main core business, is a social media agency. We spend over $60 million with influencers for brands, products, and mobile apps. We've done most of the female fashion brands that you've seen on social media. We've done millions and millions of dollars of campaigns for them for the last 6 years in a row. So we like fashion a lot. We spend a lot of money with fashion influencers, so we've been integrated in the game. In my former life, 20 years ago when I first got started, I actually started with a clothing company. So when I was 17, I trademarked a catchphrase. By 18 years old, we did over $1 million in sales. And by 19 years old, we did a $9.5 million licensing deal with Starter Apparel. So I was obsessed with clothing 20 years ago, and that was the first half a decade of my business career. After that, I launched an energy drink and did some other programs and companies, but really clothing was where it all got started. So now, we have 1 minute before we have our first guest come up. Our main focus is campaigns with influencers. So in between here, I'm going to be talking about companies that I've invested in, like Talentless Clothing and other brands like that. Elevator Studios actually was the co-founders of Talentless with Scott Disick. I'll talk about some of these clothing brands, and I'll be answering questions as well. But most of your questions, please direct to the people that are up as guests. Now, we actually have our first guest, who we just patched in. I think, oh, he's got a fancy glass of wine, fancy mansion. He is our absolute fanciest speaker. Chris King, his resume is very long, so I'm going to let him do his background. He's had wine companies, luxury brands. He's just the most articulate, true word of a gentleman. And he's about to release his book right now, so the timing is amazing to have him here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Chris King.
Hey, buddy, how are you? You guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Feels like forever since I've seen you two.
That's what this quarantine does to people.
Yeah.
All right, so if you could, give us a quick 1 or 2 minute background about your story, and then we're going to dive right into questions.
I mean, look, I think, the book that's coming out that you mentioned will dive more into that, but the overall is just, a high school dropout in the 10th grade who never gave up and was determined to make something out of his life, who's, constantly failed and continued to come back from those failures and kind of never, ever quit, and propelled myself from, over a dozen different industries, and kind of found my passion when I created the wine label out of Napa Valley with Rob Mondavi Jr. and my good friend Justin Anthony from Atlanta. And from there kind of opened up to where I am today with the brand that was, 333, which is Roman numerals. And we were actually in the process of shopping for retail space, before this whole thing hit, but we're changing the brand to Christopher King, and I'm going to expand on the brand other than just the luxury goods that everyone's seen.
Yeah, so some of the luxury products, can you explain some of those things? What type of items do you guys create?
Yeah, when we started off, it obviously took a little different turn than it is now. We primarily focus now on leather goods, and it's really just about creating the best of the best. I think it was the same thing we did with the wine. I've always had this vision and dream of a company that sought to create the very best of whatever it was, and you can create the best, like we did in Napa, you could create the best in Bordeaux, you could create the best anywhere else in the world. And so for me, it was about sourcing and finding some of the best factories in Italy and sourcing the best materials and to create a product that didn't compromise on quality, I guess is probably the best way to describe that.
Casey, have a question for him?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we surely have to ask how you got two of like the most famous people in the world, Justin Bieber and Beyonce, to both wear your apparel within the same month.
It was pretty cool. I mean, look, there's no question, like every successful person, it takes a team of people. It took, there's so many different factors from, creating the right design to the right colors that they like, but it was also about, I got to give credit to Ugo, who's on the team, who kind of handles all of our celebrity clients. And, it was a team effort from everybody. We were super blessed, and it's always great when those things happen, especially when it's kind of organic. And so we were super grateful. It was definitely, between that and a bunch of the other professional athletes that month, it was a great month.
Cool. With so many luxury brands, how have you managed to really stand out amongst the competition?
That's a great question. I think authenticity is the new luxury. I think, we didn't try to come into the game and be something that we weren't. I tried to stick to the things that I was knowledgeable about and what I knew. And by staying true to that, even in times where I think a lot of other companies steer and try to follow the masses or what's on trend, I didn't do that. I decided to stick it through and kind of go, which is known as usually the longer route, the more scenic route, to stay true to who I am and true to what I believe in. I think that's what's helped us stand out.
That completely makes sense.
So you have extreme attention to detail. It's almost like this, I mean, seriously, like you have this obsession for quality. Have you always been like that with your previous companies, or just this brand because it's so high end?
I've been that way my whole life, actually. And I talk about that in the book as well. And for me, that over attention to detail, I believe, was a huge success, or a huge role that played in a lot of the successes in my life in anything, not just business. But it also was a big curse for me. So this new brand and being in the luxury space that I'm in right now, that's ultimately been my passion and I believe my calling, that is now kind of become my gift, where before it was kind of a curse almost. We were kind of over paying attention to too many details, and the fineness, minute, nanometer perfection doesn't matter in, so many other businesses, but it obviously really matters in a business like this. So I think that's what's part of my gift and my calling that allowed me to I believe, excel at what we're doing.
Awesome.
I hope we're excelling.
Yeah. You've talked a lot about chivalry and being a gentleman. Does fashion play a role in that? And does what you wear matter, do you think?
Again, I talk about that in the book and a chapter called Art of the Gentleman. I believe it does to me. I think what you wear is a reflection of who you are. And I believe that, it's obviously a very touchy subject because there's so many different things that you could do or that you could wear at any given moment, right? To sit there and say that I don't wear a t-shirt and sweatpants would obviously be inaccurate. But I think there's a time and a place for everything. And so I think when you're trying to conduct yourself and do business, or you are meeting with investors or potential clients, I believe that still dressing up and showing that you have respect for somebody goes a long way. I don't think, no matter the industry, that we're in, there's a lot of, obviously, you guys are surrounded around a bunch of tech businesses, and I'm pretty certain that when they're going into the VC funds to ask for, their $20-50 million, they're probably wearing a shirt or a jacket or maybe even a tie. So I think it still does matter. it matters to me personally.
Yeah. So is this your everyday quarantine outfit that you got on here, or is
No,
this
I put a shirt on. I'm actually the lower half is swimsuit. So I put a shirt. I'm quarantined. I tried to clean up a little bit.
All right, can you tell us about the book that you have coming out?
So the book is, I actually wrote the book like 6 years ago with an author or a writer called Kenny Kemp. He wrote Richard Branson's book, Business Stripped Bare. Started writing this book, shelved it, and it was a series of shelving it year after year after year, because I just felt like I didn't do anything special. Like there was no big, $5 billion exit that was worth the attention and describe certain things. What I ended up doing was getting a copy to Rob Dyrdek, who, when we partnered up on this business, he got it and was like, you got to put it out. So we revisited it, and then it got shelved again because I was focused on the building of the business. And then in this quarantine, man, I just felt like the basis of my book is really highlighting my failures and life lessons. And I wanted to write a book that didn't kind of name out these bullet points, kind of workbook style. I really wanted to orchestrate my message through storytelling, which I think luxury brands do very well at. And so the book is really just stories and funny moments, sad moments, scary moments of my life that I learned lessons from, that ultimately teaches you to have, persistence and a never quit mentality, and as Rob would say, a do or die mentality to continue to push forward and never give up on your dreams. And the book kind of showcases that, and then kind of circles at where I am currently with my life, and being a dad to two amazing boys. And so that's the gist of the book. I mean, it goes into details really for those that don't know. I haven't done a lot of obviously public speaking, and I don't really care to talk in depth about my past. This is a authentic look at who I am and how I became who I became, and my mistakes. And I think more importantly, the message is that I am a self-taught gentleman. I did not come from money. I don't come from generational wealth. I am came from nothing, that kind of, poverty to success story. And I hope that it would inspire people to kind of follow their dreams, and more importantly, to try to find their purpose and calling really early on in life.
It's powerful. So you often source a lot of your materials from Rome and Italy. How do you think people can go best about finding the right suppliers and manufacturers?
I miss Italy when you just said Rome.
Us too.
Yeah. You guys had a good time at Pierre Luigi's, right? You went there. I remember. I miss Lorenzo's actually opening up a restaurant here when this is all over.
Oh, nice.
Great question. I also share this in the book about how I was able to quickly maneuver through Italy. I still believe in consultants. I think consultants are the way of the world. That's probably me dinging off here. Sorry about that. It's hiring consultants are still, to me, I think the best thing. And I was lucky enough to find the right consultant that would make these introductions. Obviously, Italian's not my first language, although I understand a little and can speak very little. I found the right people to make introductions. And so I think for those that are looking to source, it's really difficult to do business overseas, no matter where you're doing business. And I think it's always best to find a trusted source that has done it, in the past, that can make those introductions and leverage those relationships for you. I think that's really the only way to do it successfully without failing. It's my opinion.
So what do you see for the luxury brand markets in 2020? Because the stock market in the past, whenever there's been a recession, luxury stocks actually stay high. So what do you think about this recession coming up?
I mean, I don't know if we're recession. But I do know, luxury is and will always be something that the very wealthy participate in, purchase, consume. And whenever, the markets kind of shift, the rich, stay rich. And I think the best way I could probably explain this is that there's definitely a shift, not only in retail. I mean, we saw like the Neiman Marcus, I think, filing for bankruptcy. We've seen recently, even before the virus, the whole situation with Barney's. I believe that retail in general is making a huge shift, and Amazon has obviously proven that. I believe luxury needs to also kind of make that shift, but a little differently, and keep it luxury. There's no question that, luxury shopping has always been done in most of the wealthy homes. I mean, I can tell you some of the most expensive clothes I've ever purchased were done in my home. They weren't done in a retail location. So I think the luxury space, like all spaces, will feel an impact. And, you know, I think that's a tough one. That kind of caught me off guard. You know, obviously it's something I've been deeply thinking about being in the luxury space. You know, businesses are obviously affected around the globe. But one thing I do know is that it shall pass and it'll come back. When it comes back, who knows? But people will spend, people will, you know, Rodeo Drive isn't closing down forever. Stores aren't closing down forever. You know, it'll probably just be a different vehicle or a different way to purchase things. But I also don't think that retail is going to shut down, especially the stores on Rodeo Drive and so forth. And the stores on Fifth Avenue, the big brands, I believe they'll always have a retail presence.
Can you pick a number between 2 and 8?
3, my lucky number.
3. So we're going to pick 3 winners. Enter in your Cash App code. What was the company that Chris had? What was the type of product Chris had prior to clothing that he sold? And he's actually drinking it right now.
People are on it. They're on it.
Well, I can see. Oh, I didn't even see all that.
No one's getting the wrong answer.
By the way, this is my second Zoom call ever in my life. My first one was with actually Justin, who I started the wine business with. It was his birthday. We had a big whole, everybody was in there. I think Jesse Isler was in there and some of his old friends and everybody, Dalvet was in there. So this is my second Zoom call and I can see all these chats coming through, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, right? Super cool.
All right.
Leave it to you. By the way, I tune into your stories literally to learn about technology. I get like 85% of my technology and what's happening in the tech world comes from your Instagram, brother.
That's awesome. I'm going to Cash App some people right as we speak. Tucker. Boom. Okay, so we got 2 minutes left. Tell us, where can people find you if they want to get the book, if they want to see the brand, they want to see your social, like tell us your world and like so people can actually follow up. Yeah,
I mean, most of my world lives on Instagram. Obviously, that's the biggest platform right now, or one of the biggest platforms that I use, at Mr. King, MRKING. And I would kind of stay focused there. I'm going to do some teasing with the book. It's coming out next week. We're obviously going to be blasting it all around and all that good stuff. I would just kind of stay tuned into to Instagram. And that's probably the best. That's where I get all my news updates. I don't even pick out newspapers anymore. I go to like, CNN or USA Today and you get all the news faster on IG than you do on the apps anymore.
Alejandro, you're the first winner. Just confirm you got your Cash App. It's the money symbol Tucker S. Alejandro, you just won. I'm going to be Cash Apping live as we go through this. We still got one more minute left. So
I have a question for you.
Please, fire away.
Did you know that I was wearing pink, that you also wore pink? Yeah. This is like we planned this almost.
Great minds think alike.
For the book, will it have its own domain or will they find it from your social or on Amazon?
So we're actually putting that together now. There'll be domain is being converted right now. It'll be on Amazon. There'll be lots of links going on Amazon. I'm going Amazon for the first 30 days. I've been convinced to read the book, so it'll be an audible in my voice.
Nice.
In about 30, 45 days. And then it'll go to iTunes. And so it's exciting, and again, the book to me is just really just a window into my life. I've obviously, like I've said before, have made a lot of mistakes and have failed a lot. And I think as entrepreneurs, especially in this generational time frame, that's my mother trying to call in.
We're going to go to our next guest. That's perfect timing to talk to your mommy. Thank you so much for having us.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you later. Bye. All right. Our next guest, it is actually her birthday.
Yay.
So,
Hello.
Karla is spending her birthday with us. Can you please give us a bit of background on you and your company and how you dove into the space?
Yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. So, hello, everybody. You guys, thank you so much for bringing me on. It was really exciting to be a part of this. I love what you guys do, bring people on every week. And the live events the energy in the room is always amazing. But My name is Karla. I founded Kambia Kids, my gender-free children's clothing line, made 100% in America. And I've been running Kambia Kids for a few years now, and it's really just grown so much, and it's really amazing to just watch it grow.
I can agree with that. I love it. Your products have a big focus on being made in the USA, being recycled and sustainably created. Can you kind of talk about those aspects of your brand?
Yeah, so the main reason I decided to start my clothing company was because I really saw a few major issues in America. So I went to school for fashion design, and I figured I could take the knowledge I had and really create it into something that could be much bigger than just myself. And I really wanted to expand and find a problem in the industry and get a solution. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. I just had a call come in. I didn't know if it like messed it up. Okay. Now, to get back on that, I wanted to come into an industry and really solve a problem. And I saw that these documentaries and the clothes we make when they're so cheap and announce that people overseas are getting paid so poorly, it's in harsh work environments, it's very devastating to see that so many people are funneling so much of their money into these companies that just are not run ethically. And I really thought that I could, bring it back locally into America, give people in my own community jobs and further opportunity, and take that and just make it kind of something that like feeds itself, right? Like if I give my community jobs, then they're going to buy from me, and we can kind of keep it run ethically and sustainably, and kind of in the future make that the new standard where people can enforce that into their own companies and their own cultures and really create new, better, higher standards across the board.
I love it. And your quality is like the most amazing quality of fabric I have ever. It's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Can you explain to us the Wear to Wear program?
Yeah, so I'm really appreciative you said that, because obviously it means more coming from somebody else, because when I say the quality is amazing, I'm a little biased, right? But I do make everything down to my fabric in America. So I actually have a fabric, my fabric supplier weaves my recycled bamboo in America. So it's an 8-week process. They take this yarn, they take the recycled bamboo, they take the yarn, they spin it into fabric, they then brush it and dye it with no harsh chemicals. Then I take this fabric that just took so much time and money to make to my factory, and then they go into their full production run. And then I take it here and do shipping and fulfillment. So that whole process is very time consuming and costs a lot of money. And it means my quality is unbelievable, right? Like it's made to last. Now I know that now I'm asking my consumers, so my clientele and my customers, to spend way more money on amazing clothes that their kids are going to grow out of in just a few months. So it's a little unrealistic for me to expect people are willing to do that. So I figured, how can I really take my quality and my product and recycle it after it's already made and help somebody else in need? So my Wear to Wear program is you buy from us and your kid wears it. After they grow out of it, you can send it back to us and we'll give it to another kid to wear. So in hindsight, it's your kids wear it for somebody else to wear it as someone else's hand-me-down in exchange as a small thank you and token of appreciation for kind of choosing us and also helping us give back. We give a discount on your next order. So it's kind of just back to that chain effect where it's like a snowball effect, like hopefully it just keeps running in the same circle and grows from there.
That is so awesome. And you kind of touched on it, but I don't think people really understand like how much work ethic your work ethic is so impeccable. You literally do everything from like A to Z. I watch you on your stories. I've seen you working in real life. It's crazy. So what do you think the real power is behind your passion and grit? Where does that come from?
So I'm a real believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. And for just about as long as I can remember, I've always given 100%. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just want to do it all the way. And in the past few years, I've been trying to find other people who operate that same way to help me build my business, because I do really work hard, and I can confidently say that. I also really enjoy to work really hard. And I think that's something that makes my work ethic a lot easier, is because I really do love it. Like, it's my birthday and I would like to work. So it's also, my attention to detail is very like extra, and I want people to kind of want to do that with me, because I understand I've worked with a few people where I can tell when I'm saying, no, that you're not folding that right. They're like, what are you talking, like, it's a shirt, like how can I fold it wrong? And I'm like, no, it's wrong. Like, this isn't gonna work because you're not getting it. So I'm just finding those people that understand, like, oh, it is folded wrong. Let me do it the way she's talking about. And now when I get reviews on stuff, sometimes on certain products, I'll get more reviews on my packaging and presentation than the garment itself. So people do realize and people do appreciate it. And I think that kind of just keeps me going and, helps me make it better for next time.
I do have to say your aesthetics are insane. Like, even down to your posts online, it is literally the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
So you were super.
Thank you.
So you were super fast acting when the pandemic happened. When the lockdown happened, you started to give away free masks with purchase for children. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so as soon as Corona hit and everything in Los Angeles, especially in New York too, where a lot of my clientele is, everything was mandated to close. And my factory and I were in talks because my spring summer collection was actually supposed to launch today. All new colors, new designs. We've been working on it for months. In the fashion industry, as you know, you plan a year in advance for what's coming right now. And obviously this has all been in motion, right? So when I had to come to a halt, it was like a huge wake up call. What's going on? And after I was done taking it personally, I was able to realize, like, this is a much bigger issue than me not being able to launch my new colors, right? Like, people are affected. People can't go to work and people are very, very sick. So I was saying, how can I help keep my team and keep paying them and ideally help curb the spread? So after talking to my factory, we figured out they could be licensed to stay open to create medical masks or masks to help curb the spread of the virus. So I said, perfect, let's do it. I started with 100 masks. I said, you know what, I just want to keep you guys in the factory. I want to be able to pay you guys. I'm going to say we're giving free masks. Let's do 100. Let's see what happens. And those 100 masks went, because we're giving one free per family and selling the rest at our cost. So those 100 masks went in about like 6 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, people really need these right now, you know? So I call my factory and I'm like, let's do 1,000, let's do 2,000, let's do 3,000, like, just keep them going. They're going, let's just figure it out. And ever since, that's what we've been doing. So I'm not only able to keep my local factory working, but I'm able to keep my actual in-house team working. I'm able to pay my team. Let's keep everybody on their same payroll. I'm not having to cut hours. So it really just has been amazing because we're giving out these masks to help curb the spread, and I'm able to keep things running smoothly and legally. So it's nice.
So when you found your passion to starting Kambia Kids, what had brought you to the place that you realized that children wear was what you wanted to focus on in this giant world of fashion?
So it's actually really funny you ask. It's always like an awkward question because I went to school for fashion design and ended up making children's clothes because it was just less fabric. So I didn't have to make as much, I didn't have to buy as much material, and it's just more cost efficient when I was in school. Then as my graduating project happened and I had to create a company, and I called it Kambia Kids, and I did this mock fashion show with some kids and my samples. And then not only my professional, but the VCs I was presenting it to as my final project, they were like, wait, no, this is very good. Like, you should probably do this. So I was like, oh, like, let me see how it goes. Like, let me work with the kids and do all this. And it's weird how everything aligns so well. But before I went to school for fashion design, I was going to go to school for art therapy and work with little kids. I also thought about going to school to be an art teacher with kids. So being able to work with kids just aligned so perfectly. And now I always say, like, those kids are like my coworkers, you know, I love working with them. They're like my new little best friends. And we've created this culture that is very, like, it's very unlike others, you know. It's all these little kids who have so much style and so much attitude, and they've really just grown into these little amazing humans. So it's been like really, really fun to work with them.
Love it. So you started the branding hashtag, the softest set ever. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I started this bamboo material, and then we brush it and we custom dye it and we pre-shrink it, we wash it, it's something where now I have this extremely high quality piece, and yet nobody can touch it. It's almost like selling a perfume online. Like no one can know what it actually smells like or what it actually feels like. So, you know, in-house, we're thinking, what can we really do to start letting people know without them actually physically touching it? This is the softest thing they're going to feel. It's the mix between like the softest blanket ever, plus silk, plus butter, like on your kid's skin, right? So we decided, let's use a hashtag. We wanted to pick one of those hashtags that had less than, so in a lot of your content, you guys talk about pick a hashtag that doesn't have a lot of posts but doesn't have no posts, right? So I'm like, perfect, let me start hashtagging things, see what comes up. And softest set ever was something I was like, we can really like play with this. So it's something that we just hopped on board with and started adding it to a bunch of stuff, and now people can kind of realize what this product is without physically feeling it themselves yet.
That's really smart. I like that. On that note, the quality of your clothing for the kids is so high quality. How did you decide to focus on that price point of the market?
So it's, again, one of the major reasons why I wanted to be based in America, and I knew that was going to come at a much higher cost. And I even now know that if I were to go on Shark Tank or show my portfolio to somebody who's been in businesses for years, they would say, what are you doing with these numbers? Like, you spend too much money on these clothes. But I just really wanted to take the chance with my gut feeling. Let's create something in America. Let's leave a good foot moving forward. Let's lower our carbon footprint. Let's use recycled materials. Let's create an amazing piece. So once I get a customer, they come back to me. And that's what's kind of been working the best for me. So I decided to go with the best quality ever, because people aren't going to spend a lot of money on an American-made garment that's not nice. So I said, let's just create an amazing garment in America and keep that quality, keep the ethical business practices behind it. And if I keep going, regardless of what's thrown at me, over and over and over again, then eventually more people are going to know, and it's going to persuade people's buying decisions in the future. They're going to say, oh, instead of me buying 2 pieces from this fast fashion brand, let me buy 1 piece from Kambia Kids, because not only is it a great garment made in America, and I know it's going to pay these people locally in downtown LA, but also if I give it back to them, they're going to give it to somebody who needs it. So it just worked out where it was able to really, my major reason why I wanted to do all this was to fix problems in the industry. So I wasn't going to not create the best of the best.
So we're going to pick 3 winners. The way you have to do is we're going to give out 3 sets from Kambia Kids. All you have to do is go on to Kambia Kids Instagram, their last post. You don't have to do it this second. Just do it by tonight, by midnight. Comment on @Kambia Kids last post that you watch this, and we're going to pick 3 winners to send a set to. So Karla, thank you for being here tonight. Enjoy your birthday.
Thank you guys so much.
We were going to sing happy birthday.
We can. Yeah, happy birthday.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We might have a couple thousand people singing to you. All right, see you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, our next guest is a dear friend for years. She's built up a luxury lifestyle brand, living and breathing the space, speaking at events, having her own website, having her own blog, having her own physical products, being at retail. There's so many things for us to talk about. Please welcome Caitlyn Chase.
Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi. So good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well. So if you could, give everybody the 60-second bio so we can dive right into questions.
All right, the 60-second bio. I started my career as a fashion and beauty journalist at 18. I worked for magazines like In Touch Weekly, Haute Living, Esquire, Four Seasons magazine, before I started a blog in 2011 called Caviar and Cashmere, and that is still around. It's a luxury lifestyle blog. I cover things like fashion, beauty, travel, and wellness. And I also launched a skincare line, also called Caviar and Cashmere, back in 2018. So now I currently run the blog and I run the skincare brand.
Awesome. As you were just saying, so you have had Caviar and Cashmere for many years now, running it as a focus on fashion, beauty, and travel. What was really the thing that pushed you into expanding into actually making your own products?
I started the blog with the intention and from the lens of knowing I always wanted to have physical product. I love the process of design and manufacturing. So when I started the blog, I always kind of had that perspective and I knew that I wanted physical product one day. I wasn't quite sure which category I wanted to do because there were a lot of categories like fashion and beauty that I was passionate about. And I'm just kind of waiting till I got that aha moment. And it just so happened that I had that moment like 7.5 years into having the blog. And then as soon as I saw the problem in the industry, I like jumped on it and I wanted to help solve it.
Love it.
So you get bombarded by fashion brands that want to work with you as an influencer as well. How do you decide which brands are a good fit for you?
I kind of have a pretty rigorous process when I go about deciding who I'm going to partner with on the blog side. I think that a lot of my readers have been with me since the start, since 2011, and they keep coming back because I've remained authentic and I haven't, quote, sold out. So anything that I promote, I would really use or wear or purchase myself. And so I think that I've gained the trust of the people that read my blog. And so when brands come to me, I make sure that I like the product or the service and it's aligned with my core values. And if I was purchasing it myself, I would actually do that and spend my own money on it. So that's been able to really afford me the luxury of working with brands long term, which I prefer. I much prefer having quantity, or rather quality over quantity when it comes to partnerships, long-term relationships that I can have with brands that I really truly love the product or the service instead of like one-off deals here and there.
Amen.
So can you tell us for the skincare products how you decide on like the price point, the look, the quality of it?
Yeah, so Caviar and Cashmere blog has always been a luxury lifestyle blog. So I knew I wanted to have high quality luxury products, but at an attainable price point. So the whole ethos of Caviar and Cashmere skincare is that life is complicated, skincare shouldn't be. I created the products because I was getting sent so many different products on a daily basis from skincare and cosmetic brands, and it was really, really confusing. A lot of these brands were touting 10 or 20 step routines, and I myself, who's educated in this space, found myself really overwhelmed with all of the options and all of the different products. So I just wanted to streamline the process and make it really simple and make a line of only 3 products that people only need 3 products to use every day, morning and night, for men, for women, and really just make it super simple and accessible, but still high quality.
Awesome. You have gotten a ton of press over the years. Are there any like tips or tricks you can tell the audience about working with the media?
Yeah, I'm fortunate because I see it from both sides. I have the blog and now I have a brand, so I'm familiar with being pitched and pitching. I kind of have mixed feelings about using PR agencies. I think at the end of the day, if you have limited resources, you should save your funds and just do everything in-house and just really try to create relationships with editors in the category of product or service that you have. I've found it really helpful to just connect with people over Instagram by DMing the editors or connecting with them on LinkedIn and just cold calling. And that's really actually gotten me a lot of press by coming from a super sincere place. And honestly, I think that the editors enjoy hearing from the founder themselves instead of a PR agency. So it's worked so far, knock on wood.
So we're going to pick 2 winners to get a full set of the Caviar and Cashmere products. Answer in the comments, what year did Caviar and Cashmere, the website, start? What year did the website start? I see a lot of answers.
I love it.
Holy moly. All right. So we're going to
Well, you guys, the 2 winners that get the products, it's perfect for Mother's Day. If you don't use them yourself, this set is great for moms.
Awesome. So we're going to pick 2 winners from there, and then we're going to email you guys. We're going to get your info, and we're going to email you guys so we can get your address to ship to you. Okay, next question. So you've sold into many clothing boutiques and luxury retail stores. Can you talk about the process of dealing with retailers?
Yes, dealing with retailers is quite an arduous process. Not all retailers have the same processes. So depending on who you are going into, it's just, I think, a really, really long, drawn out process. I think some people think that you have a product and then you wake up and then it's in Macy's. I'm happy to say that our product just got into Macy's. We launched in January into the department store, but let me tell you, it was not an easy process. It was a really long process. It took about 6 months of time and effort and back-end paperwork, and it's not really sexy. And so to be able to say that you're in a huge big box retailer like that is great, but I would say that all of my learnings have led me to realize that e-commerce is really the way of the future, especially now with what's going on. A lot of our smaller retailers, the boutiques, are shuttered and they are deferring payment for God knows when. I don't know if we'll even get paid now. So now more than ever, I think it's important to just focus on e-com.
Awesome. What would you say to somebody that wants to start their own brand, but they're not sure how?
I would say first do your research, find a mentor that knows what they're doing, and just know that there's no time like the present. If you have an idea and you're passionate about it, I would just go for it. And there's never going to be a perfect time to launch something. You're never going to feel completely ready. But as long as you are passionate about it and you do your homework, I would just say go for it, because there's nothing like starting your own business and having a tangible product. It's so hard and it takes 24/7, a lot of sacrifice, but at the end of the day, it's a great accomplishment to have. And anyone that wants to do it and has that desire, I always say just go for it.
All right, so let's say I've got my samples made, my website is built, I got the first run of inventory on the way, it's come into the warehouse, okay? What are some of the things I can do to sell it out of the warehouse and out to the community, whether it's e-commerce or retail?
I would say start building buzz right away. So even before you launch, start getting people talking about it. Get it in, if you have samples, get it in the hands of editors or social media influencers and get the buzz going. I would create some sort of hype and make people really want to get the product in their hands as soon as it launches. So something that I did was I started kind of teasing the product about 4 months before we launched. We launched in July 2018. I started talking about it in February. And by the time that we launched, we had a 3,000 person wait list because people were just really, really excited about the product. I kept it kind of elusive. So there was some sort of like curiosity there. And I think people also felt like they were part of the process. So they would get like little nuggets of information before launch. But on that day, I think like everyone just felt like they were in it together and everyone was really excited to see what the final product looked like and couldn't wait to get their hands on it.
So when influencers message you, how do you decide which ones you're going to give product to or pay with or work with? Like how would you decide who you work with?
So to date, we have not paid any influencers. We have done gifting, but it's a very curated gifting and approach. I like to handle it myself. So most influencers that get our product, I've approved beforehand, and I just want to make sure that they understand the ethos of our brand. They kind of fall in line with our vision and our aesthetic and are able to speak about the product in an educated, authentic way, because I know from having the blog what can come off as authentic or inauthentic. So I choose people that I really think will be able to talk about the product in a really genuine way.
How can an influencer stand out to you? So let's say you're normally used to finding them. How can they make themselves look good for you?
Well, when it comes to outreach and pitching us, we get a lot of DMs from influencers asking for the product, and the ones that stand out are the ones, again, that are authentic and genuine, and they they spell the brand name right. They say that it's skincare, not makeup. I think a lot of these people are copy and pasting messages just to see how much product for free they can get, and I can sniff that right away. So I make sure that the brand name is in the message. They understand that it's skincare, and there's some sort of authentic message that goes along with it as to why they want to try the product.
Are there like certain retailers that people should focus on with their products or brands? Like, should they be like, okay, if I just get this one brand, or sorry, just get into this one retailer, everything's going to change? Or should they try to get to a bunch?
I think distribution is key. So I think that focusing on one retailer could be a good strategy, but in my experience and all of my research, I think that the more doors you're in, the better if you are going into the brick and mortar route. What we're seeing right now with all of these retailers shuttering, if you put all of your eggs in one basket, you may be screwed. So right now, more than ever, if you are doing a retail approach, I would say get into a lot of different stores.
And then once you're in the store, let's say I got my product into Macy's, what about the point of sale or point of purchase? Like, what are those displays? Can you talk about like how to make it look good so people actually want to buy it?
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't know is that there's a lot of upfront investment when it comes to having your product in a retail store. They aren't going to put up the money for the display. A lot of these retailers actually make you pay for the salespeople on the floor because they aren't going to put in the time and the money in training these people on your specific product when they have thousands of SKUs and different products and brands in the store. So I would say just making sure that you have enough capital to make sure it's a win, because you don't want to get into a great retailer and then just have your products sitting on the shelf and get lost.
So where can people find you on social media and your brands?
So on social media, for me personally, it's at Caitlyn Chase, and then Caviar and Cashmere handle is for the skincare, and my blog domain is caviarandcashmere.com, and the skincare is shopcaviarandcashmere.com.
That's awesome. Caitlyn, we really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Enjoy yourself.
For having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, Riley over here.
All right, our next guest, Mr. Sean Kelly. I remember first getting messaged by him on Instagram a couple years ago, and it was so fun to watch, fresh out of high school. And he's like, dude, I already just did $1 million in sales of my custom jerseys. I got this rapper and this that thing, this boom, boom, boom. And just watching him skyrocket with his custom jersey brand has been fun to watch, turning himself into a big business, throwing his own live events, etc. Please welcome Mr. Sean Kelly.
Thank you for having me, Dan. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Hanging in there.
So it's been a whirlwind start for you. I mean, I watched this the last couple of years go from, can you explain some of the background of how that happened and why?
Yeah, so I'm from New Jersey. I started Jersey Champs when I was a freshman at Rutgers. Was failing class, so I pretty much had to go all into the company. So I dropped out beginning of sophomore year to focus on it full time. And I was broke, so I pretty much had to just start from the scratch, learn everything on my own, and just work my way up with these influencers. Started with SoundCloud rappers and YouTube rappers, and just worked my way up to A-list rappers with jerseys. And then I ended up joining your mastermind, and that completely changed my life because I've gone on to do 2 business deals with members of that mastermind. And they were multi-million-dollar deals. So just wanted to thank you for that as well.
Awesome. So how do you get people to react to your DMs? Because, you know, rappers and athletes, whether they're from SoundCloud or a household name, like they get bombarded by messages. How do you filter through the noise?
Yeah, so they get tons of messages. Luckily, the blue check definitely helps. But at first, you know, I didn't get that many responses. You just it's a numbers game. So the more people you hit up, and back then I was hitting up like 50 people a day at least. And you got to keep your message short, in my opinion, because no one likes reading paragraphs.
Yeah.
And it's a numbers game.
And so what was the initial offer? Like, what was the reason for them? What did you want to happen?
Yeah, so at first I just wanted to get the brand out there. I wasn't really worried about the sales aspect. I think people try to stress that at first, but I just wanted these rappers to be wearing custom jerseys for me, and then eventually the name would get out there and I could use their photos in my paid ads.
That's smart. So many athletes, influencers, and rappers respond to you when they get hit up by so many. So why do you think that is, aside from just having like a short little caption or whatever? Is there something else to it?
Yeah, I think obviously the product plays a huge role, because if you're just drop shipping the same thing as everyone else is, you know, people aren't going to be as interested. So if you have a unique product and something that you could customize, because these people get hundreds of product offers a day. So if you can offer them something they've never been offered before, you know, it might pique their interest. So I think with a custom jersey, you know, not many people get offered that on a regular basis. So it really helps me out.
So when they do respond to you and you make a jersey for them, would they then be able to sell those jerseys and you'll fulfill it? Or give us like a main idea.
Yeah, so that's always the end goal, is for us to make it. Hopefully they like it, and then we can either sell it on their website or we could sell it on ours. Well, with 2 Chainz, we ended up being able to sell that jersey on his website, and we're trying to do the same thing with Jordan Belfort right now with the Wolf of Wall Street jerseys, because those deals are like 6-7 figure deals. So it's really good to have that partnership in place.
All right, I'll text him tonight for you. Actually, I'll see him tomorrow. I'm going to tell him tomorrow.
Awesome.
That's good timing. I'll tell him tomorrow. Okay, so now once that happens, give us an overview. Like, it doesn't have to be the terms of what you guys do on your financials, but like, what does a deal look like if somebody had a product and they wanted to do a deal with a rapper, influencer, or athlete?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways. We could just do wholesale straight up. But most people want us to handle the shipping. So then we work out rates like a profit share or revenue share. But we're open. We have the supply chain to handle both options. Obviously, wholesale is easier, but most people want us to handle everything.
So you work with so many influencers. How does that work if they approach you? Like, let's say people you don't hit up, but all of a sudden they have a following, whether it's medium or large. How do you decide who you work with?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I haven't worked with as many as you, but I just sort of vet them out. And I mean, at this point, you know all the big influencers, but we like getting the micro ones too. I've been going on TikTok and finding a ton of great influencers for free. I mean, these guys will literally post for free because they're just starting out and they get tons of views. So we do micro, we do the big ones too, but we actually like the micro ones lately.
And so when people come to your site, can they make their own jerseys, or what else can they do there?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get that done by the end of the year. I haven't figured out the supply chain on that because I know that would be huge. We do have that option for our top sellers, but you can't just make your own from scratch right now, but that would be a huge addition.
What's like a average price point for a jersey?
Yeah, so our average order value is $55, which is good for us because most jerseys sell for like hundreds of dollars, especially the NBA and NFL ones. So, you know, our target demographic is millennials that don't really have that kind of money. So
that's how you came up with that price point compared to, I mean, that's almost 50 to 80% off compared to other jerseys.
Yeah, we've slowly been raising it. It used to be like 30, $40, but as the brand got bigger, we've been raising our prices slowly. But it's definitely worked for us. Our conversion rate's around 4%, which isn't too bad.
And then are there package deals, or is there free shipping? Like, what are some things that happen within your site?
Yeah, so whenever we have a hit jersey, we'll always have a baseball and a basketball jersey bundle, and sometimes even a hockey jersey bundle with the same exact design. And we also offer gift wrap for upsells. We offer the same product as an upsell. I think the back end's super important, so we have email sequences set up, all that good stuff for e-commerce.
So similar to elevator nights, I've loved watching you've been throwing these events and getting big crowds live in person and also now online during the quarantine. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, so Two of my biggest inspirations for those were obviously you and Gary Vee. I love these free events, and I was just on his T show, and he might sponsor the next one, which is awesome. But I basically started out, my first event had 34 people, I think, and then we've had 5 since, and now we're up to like 200 people, so we're growing slowly but surely. And then this online one I'm having in a few weeks already has 1,500 people signed up, so I'm really excited for that one. And yeah, it just feels really good, like helping people out, connecting people. I'm sure you love the same thing because you have them too. But it just feels amazing. Even though I'm not making any money, I'm actually losing money. It just feels amazing to host those.
Yeah, I tell people with elevator nights, they've been free for 6 years. And it cost me $300,000 to keep those things free because there's no tickets, no sponsors, no sales. And these are big 1,000-person productions. However, stuff happens, right? Deals happen between people, charity happens, investments happen into some of these companies. Like, I just like all the action in the game of it. I don't have a direct ROI, but obviously I get clients from it or get favors or relationships because of it. I just don't take any money for it. I like to pay for it to keep it free, just like this with having these every Sunday night. I want these to be free. There is no sponsor. You can't see in the room, but we have a full staff and crew here to make this thing work for you guys to be able to handle thousands of people. We want this to be free because I know Sean Kelly and all these great guests that are on here can inspire you to do something. Stuff happens, meaning if you go out there and you become the next Jersey champ or you become the next Caviar and Cashmere or Kambia kids, that is exciting for me because you're going to go hire 4 employees or 10 employees. You're going to go create a couple $1 million in commerce. By you going out and doing that, you're causing things, this butterfly effect that even if we can't see it, we still like it knowing that it's happening out there in the world. Yeah. Okay, next question is, we got 8 minutes. We got plenty of time. Is there going to be any expansions or extensions of your product? So is jerseys the main focus, and then will there be other things outside of that?
Yeah, so right now, like your previous guests were talking about, we're working on custom masks. I think the first company that can figure out the logistics behind that is going to make, hundreds of millions of dollars for sure. So we're working on that. We're trying to figure out the supply chain, and I partnered up with some big people, a guy that worked with a ton of casinos in Vegas that can get him out there, and some second biggest fulfillment center in the world besides Amazon. So I'm excited about that for sure.
So let's talk about the extensions of actually from after the quarantine and after the mask world. Would you ever do hats? Would you ever do socks? Would you ever do anything else custom, or will you be the jersey guy?
We'll definitely branch off eventually. I really like the Fanatics model. Of course, they're the biggest jersey company in the world, worth $5 billion, but they've branched off into everything. So like, I want to take it one step at a time. Right now, I'm really good at jerseys, so I want to just focus on that for now and then move into masks. And if that works, then move into other avenues.
So what if somebody like Fanatics wanted to buy you today? Would you rather sell today, or would you rather wait a couple years?
I'd probably wait, but if they did buy me, I'd still want to work for the company because I love it so much.
That's, I like it.
That's good. That's what they want to hear.
Have you ever taken outside capital for the company?
No, early on, I think the first few months I got offered like 50 grand for 40%, but I didn't take that.
Oh my God. That would have been a great deal for somebody else.
Yeah.
Are you doing much with paid media, or do you like to focus on social media side? Do you do the paid media side?
Yeah, so we have an agency that does the Facebook, the Google, Bing. We're probably going to start TikTok soon. And then I focus on the influencer side and the social side. So that's my strength.
And then you've built up quite a following yourself. Can you talk about social media for you as well?
Yeah, it's just opened so many doors. I mean, people take you much more serious when you have your own brand. And, with these big deals, these big mass deals we're doing, like, it's just been so much easier for people to trust you. And it's just a huge trust element. Like, the bigger the following, I mean, you don't have to explain yourself. You know how it is. So I think building your personal brand is super important. And now I'm trying to do that on TikTok as well.
So you're building up your TikTok following now?
Yeah, I'm at like 40,000, I think. So I gotta get up there.
So have you sent any jerseys to the TikTok influencers? Is that something that you want to focus on?
Yeah, all the big ones. Anything on the For You page, I'll go to their Instagram right away, see if it's worth it. And most of the time it is. I'll just send them a jersey. It only costs me between $10 and $25. So, if 1 out of 10 post it, it's a good ROI.
when you're building up a personal brand, do you think it's important that somebody focuses on building their business and their personal, or should they be doing both, or just one or the other?
For me, I built the business first, and then it was way easier to build the personal. I think building the personal is harder if you don't have business backing it up, because then it's like, who are you? So I would try to build the business first, then the personal, but I've seen people do both, but that's just the way I went about it. And after I read Crushing It by Gary, like 2 years into the company, I really dove into my personal, and like LinkedIn has been huge lately, and Instagram, of course, too.
Are you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so your social, that's your own personal social accounts, then if you did that following having your brand accounts, is it kind of based on your brand, or you also do like personal posts so that people can relate to you more? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think now I'm definitely known as the Jersey guy, but I'm branching off into these events and, other things. So I think definitely right now I'm still known as a Jersey guy, but I'm trying to branch off from that a little more.
And your live events, what's the focus there?
Yeah, so I let my speakers know, please don't sell, please don't upsell. I try to keep it all organic. I basically interview them. We have a panel and then usually a keynote, and then I try to focus on the networking aspect over the speakers. I think there's more value there, and I want people to talk to the speakers. And we have a group chat, and then we have free weekly live calls on Zoom. So I try to keep it as interactive as possible, because most of these events, there's nothing in between them, but I like to keep a tight family, and a lot, like 60% of the people come back every time. So it's really cool.
Would you do it in other cities?
Yeah, definitely going to branch off. I was supposed to move to LA this summer, but I don't know anymore with the coronavirus.
Well, it's going to be a lot cheaper if you want to come out.
Hopefully.
We keep saying that anything you've ever wanted is going to be on sale this summer. So real estate, apartments, cars, everything is on a big discount this summer. Through this economic tragedy, there's also a positive side of it, that there's things that if you are a business owner, you could buy equipment, you could buy materials cheaper, you could buy your ads cheaper because the ad rates are going to go much lower. A lot of things are going to be adjusting in our favor, which will then help the economy come back, the fact that we are able to spend more. So if somebody that owns custom jerseys is now spending more or buying up equipment or taking over an office because now it's a big discount, that does help recycle and help hopefully bring the economy back up, because this summer is going to get tough. And so if you do come to LA, there's going to be a lot of discounts. All right, so we got 2 minutes left. What are your thoughts about the impact of Corona on the e-commerce space for the summer?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because at first everyone's supply chain got hit, but then all the ads got super cheap. So it was sort of a good, bad balance. And now people are still recovering, but I think less and less people are going to start buying if this keeps dragging on, as more people aren't working and the unemployment numbers are insanely high now. So it's going to be interesting, but I think necessary products like the masks and stuff are going to do very well, of course. So like I said, whoever can figure out the supply chain for custom masks is going to do very well.
Wait, so you're going to give away 5 $100 gift cards?
Yes, to Jersey Champs.
So is the website domain jerseychamps.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we need to do is you're going to email. You don't have to do it this second because you can do it after the live stream. Email winner@100millionacademy.com. What city is Sean Kelly in right now? Where is his company based? Where is he based out of? Email winner@100millionacademy.com. We're going to pick 5 winners that are all going to get $100 certificates to jerseychamps.com. All right,
awesome.
All right, we got 30 seconds left. Where can people follow you and your business?
Sean Mike Kelly on Instagram, Sean Mike Kelly on TikTok, Sean Kelly on LinkedIn, Jersey Champs. Thank you for having me, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Our next guest is very, very well versed in the business space. He started off in the ad tech world. He's deep in the CBD game with one of the biggest CBD brands on the planet. He then decided, you know what? I'm going to get in the dope game, but not like that. Dope is the name of his clothing brand, which is, you've seen it everywhere from celebrities, athletes, and everybody in between wearing his clothing. Please welcome Mr. Rob Gough.
For having me.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, tell us about the Dope game.
Dope is a clothing brand started in 2007, and then I bought it 3 years ago tomorrow.
Nice. The anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks.
Can you give us the 1 or 2 minute bio about how you got to there?
Got to buying dope
Yeah.
or? Yeah, so it was founded in Indiana. That's where I'm from originally. So I found the brand years ago. I always loved it. Saw a lot of people wearing it. And I just felt like they never tarnished the brand by selling to TJ Maxx or Burlington. And so I tried to buy it about 8 years before buying it and put an offer in, and it didn't make sense. And then eventually it made a lot of sense to buy it. So that's why I'm on it.
And simultaneously, you were in the CBD space. Can you tell us a bit about that?
So that's CBDFX. So about 4 years ago, I bought the lion's share of that business. And at the time, it was just a vapor business doing about $4.5 million a year in revenue. And quickly thereafter, about the same time, we said, hey, let's pivot and go into still do the vapor because we have I Love Salts and all these a big brand in the vapor business, but let's go into CBD. And no one really knew what the hell CBD was at the time. And because of that, now we're the second largest with, Walgreens and CVS and Family Dollar and Dollar General and all that good stuff. So that's kind of why I bought dope as well, because I kind of, I had that infrastructure with the other business. And now we're launching dope CBD next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
It'll be good to.
do you also go into retail, or is it all focused on e-commerce?
CBD or the clothing?
With clothing.
Clothing is mostly wholesale. So we're sold at, independent boutiques around the world. And then also, we've tried it into the Macy's like you spoke about earlier, but I feel like a lot of those places are brand killers. So I pulled out of those in the past year and just focusing, mainly on really great Nike doors and independent boutiques.
Would you ever own your own retail stores? And if not, why?
So I have one store in Fairfax in LA, and then we're going to franchise right after the quarantine. So right now I'm redesigning the store. I'm going to renovate it during quarantine. And then we're doing the FTD documents now during the quarantine. And then right after, my thoughts are that SBA is going to be there to lend money to people to really stimulate the economy. And I feel like people will, they don't want to work for somebody anymore because they've realized during this that their world is in someone else's hands and somebody can fire you at any moment if something happens. So I think the franchise dope stores will be a big hit for the next year, personally.
Very cool. Can you talk about the different products that dope has? Like, what are the different pieces of the brand?
We're mostly cut and sew. So, anybody can have a clothing brand with, just printables. So like this t-shirt is just the printables. You take a blank and you print your name on it, or a hoodie. We do a lot of that business. I mean, our number one seller is that, but then our number two seller is jeans. A lot of great product jeans were sold at the Buckle, which is one of the retailers we do sell at. But and then the rest of the stuff is all cut and sew, very intricate pieces that you can't just go buy a blank and print your name on it. So we sell everything.
You have so many celebrities and influencers wearing your clothes. A lot of that's not paid, right? So it's just the relationships. Can you talk about how to build relationships in this game?
Yeah, we haven't paid anybody. The first paid we're going to do is we're going to do a $5,000 giveaway May 6th with Lonzo Ball. And that's really about growing. Because of all of our retailers are shut down, we're trying to figure out how to get them to go online. So we're doing the kind of the loop giveaways I think you're involved with. So, the retailers are able to buy a spot on Dope's page. And then we're trying to grow them with Lonzo, grow them about 30 to 60,000 followers. And that's the only person we've ever paid, and that's for this. But before that, it's to be honest with you, it's natural in a lot of ways. We have reached out to some, or when they reach out to us, we'll give them a discount. But we're not too active on seating because it just doesn't convert like it used to. I mean, back in the day, if you saw a celebrity wearing something, people would go out and buy, and nowadays it's just too saturated with, you see what every celebrity wears on a daily basis. So for us, because we've been around for so long, it's just kind of natural. I mean, Sean's definitely a hustler. I've seen him in my DMs, so I know that's really worked well for him. But we're not as active as we should be, to be honest, as far as seating.
So I see your stuff get onto like mainstream TV shows, and I've seen big athletes. Like, how does that stuff happen? Is it just all through friendships?
Yeah, it's friendships, but to be honest with you, half the time I don't even know what's happening. We just see it happen. Or the stylists, I guess, will style them in it. But it's all organic, to be honest. It's I wish I could take credit for it all, but I really can't. Now, some of it is friendships, and they're just doing it because they're a good friend and they want to support myself and the brand. But to be honest with you, a lot of it is just organic through the stylist or through the celebrity themselves, just wanting to look dope while they're on television.
So when you're dealing with retailers, how do you decide if you're going to go with them or not?
Well, you have to look at it from, they all buy Keystone, which is essentially 50% off of retail. Macy's, when they buy it, they ask for a discount because they're buying such bulk. And then they're going to discount you right away. So for me, that's a brand killer. They're going to put your brand on discount. And then if they don't sell it, they're going to ask you for, they're going to try to return it or get a credit for the future. And it sounds good because you want to keep those orders coming, but it catches up with you because if you give them a credit on this order and then they're going to ask for another discount and they're going to buy more product, and then in 6 more months, they're going to ask for another credit. So it's kind of, you're getting your revenues up, but at the end of the game, it's a brand killer because you're going to end up upside down very quickly.
So what would you
That's
say?
something you learn. You see these big orders and like, oh my God, this is great. DTLR, City Gear, Foot Action, they all want you. But at the end of the day, if you can't provide sell-through, you're dead in the water.
So what would you say if a small boutique wanted terms? Would you give them terms? Like, is it net 30 or do you make them prepay? Or?
So we factor all of our sales. So we use a company called Hilden, and basically it's an insurance on that order. So if Hilden will insure them, then we'll take the terms. If not, we don't do any terms. So I think factoring is very important. Before I bought it, the company didn't do factoring because they had several $1 million in debt. So they weren't able to factor. And when I bought the business, there was accounts receivable from Rue 21, and they owed me like 300 grand. I bought the accounts receivable as well. And then when I bought it, a month later, Rue 21 went bankrupt, and they didn't pay the accounts receivable to me. So I lost 300 grand. And that's when I learned, well, because I bought the business and I paid off their debt, I was able to factor. So then going forward, I learned my lesson and said, okay, everybody, if we're going to ship them, we've got to get them factored. It's just a small percentage you're paying for insurance, essentially. I don't know if those businesses will stay around because, I'm sure they're getting murdered right now with people not paying their bills.
Yes, and it's a great excuse for a lot of these retailers. Like when we hear about Neiman Marcus going bankrupt, it's not that they're going to close down. It's just their way to clean out a ton of their debt. It's just their excuse to not pay a lot of vendors. And they're still going to be open a lot of the time. Most of the time, these type of retailers, when they go bankrupt, they still stay open. And they're just restructuring their finances to say, oh, Casey sold us her clothing. I don't have to pay for that now. And then a year from now, like, hey, we still want to buy Casey's clothing, even though they still owe money from back in the day.
100%. And now because I factored those purchase orders, I'm actually still going to get paid. And who gets screwed is the middleman, the guy that I pay insurance to.
I love that. I know that you said, obviously, Dope's a huge brand and it's been around for a long time. So there's a crazy amount of brand recognition. So people post naturally. But how important do you think it is to still be relevant on social media, still be there as a brand and still be reaching out and talking to people and reposting people's posts? Is that still important or?
Yeah, I think you have to be there for sure. Just like, the conferences, there's a thing called agenda or project. I think they're useless nowadays to be honest, but you have to still be there. You have to show the other retailers that, hey, we're still around. And same with Instagram, we still post every day. We're still active. We've got almost 1 million followers and we're still growing it. And especially because of the things like the Lonzo thing coming up. But yeah, I do think it is very important. And we're moving into TikTok as well. But again, it doesn't really convert like it should. So we're not paying anybody. We don't pay any influencers. I know that's a great business for you guys. But maybe we can talk about it later. But we personally do not do it. But yeah, I do think it's important for sure. And I do think now more than ever, your online presence is going to be more important. How many followers you have, because even from our uptick recently, our sales online have doubled. Stimulus checks are coming in, and I think people aren't freaking out yet for another month or so. But yeah, so I think it's very important.
How do you determine what the price of dope should be? That was fun to say.
Right, it's great. Wait till we come out with weed soon. So it's kind of you want to be, you don't want to discount below. I like to stay a little bit above most of my competitors to ensure that it's a premium product. Really, it's a guessing game. So, like, let's say a T-shirt is $32, where a lot of my other competitors are maybe $29.99 or maybe $35. So, we're not the cheapest, but we're also not the most expensive. So it's kind of, it's data driven to a certain extent, but really it's just about, hey, what do we think the best is going to be,
So what price points are you guys at mostly?
$32 tees. Our jeans are $88 to $110, and then our hoodies are $78, $88, and the cut and sew is right around the same range. So affordable, high quality product, premium product, but at affordable prices, fair prices.
So how do you get repeat orders? How do you make people want to come back?
I think you have to I think the first thing is about products and make sure it's a high quality product. We made the mistake by going and outsourcing a lot of our 3PL, our fulfillment, our website to this company called Branded Online. And they are the worst company I've ever dealt with in my entire life. They can't ship out product on time. During Christmas time, they were taking about a month to ship out product. So don't do that. They're the worst, absolute worst. Branded Online is horrible. So we're now trying to strip away from that contract and bring it all in house because I think for us it's all about the experience. We want to show you that you have a great customer experience. So we want to write you letters and put custom packaging and that's why we're going to bring it in house in the next 2 months. Really take care of the consumer a lot better than we have before.
Yeah, with Kambia Kids, Karla the birthday girl, she actually writes hand letters for every single order. So
I think it's important.
For the last 8 years, all of our stuff, every company I invest in, all of our products are all out of minimus.biz in Thousand Oaks. And they have a couple 100,000 square feet and they handle every single product from a book to clothing to bikini brands to some of the household name celebrities that we're mutual friends with. They all have their clothing products there. I had to do that because I'm not good at that stuff. I know I'm going to make it. Right. And so literally my entire life is all inside of these warehouses in Thousand Oaks, and all my friends and investments are all in that same warehouse. The reason for it is if you order by 2 p.m., they ship out same day. Otherwise, all orders are shipped next day. So for me, it's made us look good because I went through those situations that you went through with that other company. I went through that for years in the past. And once I got with this company, I just put all my eggs in that basket because they have 4 warehouses, old school family. And I say those things because it's so important. Shipping is so important for the customer experience. When you see these fashion brands or when you order stuff, we're in an ADD society. We're used to Amazon. We think we order stuff and it should just have a carrier pigeon should drop it off, like a stork should show up.
Right.
And so it is critical. So I like the fact that you're bringing it in-house because it's so important.
We've been with 3 different 3PLs now. This one is definitely the worst. Now we're shipping, same day, shipping out of the warehouse. But it's been hell to get to that point. But now we're definitely buttoned up, but it's still time to move on and bring it in-house. But 3PLs are incredible if you're starting out, you don't want to do it yourself.
So we have 1 minute left. Tell people where they can find you on social, where they can find the brand, etc.
I'm just at Rob G, and then Dope is at Dope.
That's
and
pretty.
then CBFX is CBFX _ I think on them. So Rob G, Dope, CBDFX.
Very cool.
That's it. Easy.
That's dope.
Pleasure to have you. That's dope. There you go. I'm sure
I love it. You guys look so comfortable.
That's the first time you heard that joke.
I love it. You can say it any day you want. I love it. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for having me.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
All right. Our next guest, she has been an amazing person featured on television, magazines, fashion events, building her own brands, her hair care products, and everything in between. She's got a wealth of knowledge and experience. She's an angel investor in multiple companies. Please welcome Leyla Milani.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic. So if you could give us a bit of background of your world.
My world, gosh. Okay, so I'm originally from Canada. I am married to Manny Koshman, whom you know very well. I am a mom of two. I am the founder and CEO of a beauty wellness brand called Hairtamin. I'm also the founder of Leyla Milani Hair, which is a hair care line. And prior to all of this, I was in television. I had a stint in WWE. I was on a show called Deal or No Deal with Howie Mandel. I was one of the briefcase models. Been in music videos, television shows, films, and I found my true calling really as an entrepreneur and having my own hair care brand. And I've been doing that for the past, gosh, how many years now? Almost 10 years, yeah.
That's awesome.
So you have millions of followers, not only on your own brand, but you've built up so much with your products brands as well across social media. How do you stay consistent with making good photos and video content?
Oh gosh, it's so hard, especially right now because we're all in quarantine. But I say the biggest thing for me is just listen to your audience. Thankfully, or sometimes not thankfully, people are very vocal. They tell you exactly how they feel, and you take it obviously what people say with a grain of salt, and you apply it the best way you know how. And for me, they're like my little what do you call it? Not case study. I can't think of the word, but focus group. That's it. And so whenever I want to launch a new product or whenever I'm stuck for new content idea, really I just ask my audience. And Instagram is so great in that it has the insights. And so there's so much knowledge there to be had as far as what posts are working for you, what direction you should go, what time you should post, what kind of hashtags you should use, and all that good stuff. And for me, it's been consistently things with me and my husband, family, and then anything related to hair care. So it's worked out.
I think you just dropped a couple of good tips there, but what are some good marketing tips you give someone who's trying to build a brand from scratch?
Okay, number one, and I speak with my own experience, you have to have a social media presence. It is key. I can't think of any business where you wouldn't need to be on social media. I mean, it would be very hard for me to think of any. More than ever right now, having a great e-commerce platform and online presence is key. I would say my biggest tip is whatever business you're in, if it's a product-based business, hopefully your cost of goods is low enough where you can afford to gift and give away a lot of your products to influencers. I think that works really well. I know some of the people on this panel spoke about paid and non-paid, and we do both. And we do micro, we do macros. We have a special category called unicorns, and these are people that kind of came out of nowhere. Either they reached out to us or we reached out to them, and they just blew us away with how they converted. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, kind of like how TikTok is right now. We just literally got on maybe a few weeks ago. And one of our videos, it was one of my videos sitting in a salon chair. My stylist was just doing this like cool blowout, and it got over 2 million views. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm TikTok famous now. So I started posting more on my own TikTok because, you have to be where everybody's at. And as for a brand, I think it's so important to have multiple social media platforms because you just never know which platform you're going to do well in. And you never know what's the next big thing. So even if you're not going to be posting daily, be on all of them and be consistent about your message.
So you're an angel investor. What would you look for in a fashion or accessories company that would make you want to invest into it?
How would you suggest to someone who wants to work with fashion or beauty influencers stand out when reaching out to them?
So really you have to study that person's audience. Is that person's audience going to be your customer? Are they going to buy your product? So don't just reach out to somebody who has 2 million followers, but they're posting really sexy lingerie pictures. Most often than not, her audience is male. And if you're selling a hair supplement for women, that's not going to be your audience. Or if you're selling hair extensions, that's not going to be your audience. So don't look at that number. Look at, who the followers are and if they're going to be your target audience. And I think just a level of professionalism, if the influencer is posting consistent, high quality content, they love what they do, they connect with their audience, they engage. I think that's always important. And also just, just how authentic that influencer is, because eventually they're going to represent your brand, and who knows which way it can go. So
awesome. Which fashion, purse, or shoe brands do you think do the best job at marketing?
I think by far Hermes wins the game for their lack of marketing. They are arguably one of the most valuable luxury goods brand. They are a fashion and leather good French house. And you never see an ad for a Birkin bag or a Kelly bag, yet everybody and their mom wants one. I have a lot of them and I still want more, but I think they're so strategic and so smart in that they never have ads. They never have celebrities represent their products, but yet every celebrity, every wealthy person or everybody who wants to look wealthy wants a Birkin or a Kelly bag. And they're just so smart with that. Their strength, the brand strength, is that they maintained the exclusivity of their products, in that you can't just walk in to buy a Birkin bag. And more importantly than that, it's so secretive. You don't even know. You can't even truly know how much a Birkin bag costs. You can't call and say, how much is a Kelly bag? Or do you have it in stock? They always have it, but they never just tell you that information. So, it makes you want it more. And I think that's really smart.
So we're giving away a Birkin. I'm just kidding. All right. So when you're coming up with price points for your products, how do you decide when making something inexpensive, mid-tier price, or luxury priced?
For me, in my experience, I always try to offer the best product with the best quality ingredients at the best price. I mean, that's been my personal strategy, and it's worked well for me. For me, it's all about accessibility, and the more people you can get your products in the hands of, the better. Of course, you got to keep in mind your cost of goods. You got to be able to have the margins where you can have a distributor and do marketing and gifting and all that good stuff. But obviously, you have to do your competitive report, see what the same product is going for in the market, and then price it accordingly to your cost of good using the best quality products that you can get your hands on.
So let's actually do a quick giveaway.
It's not Birkin bag?
Not a Birkin bag. So we're going to pick out 3 winners to get a 1-month supply of Hairtamin. The way that you win is go on to the @Hairtamin Instagram account. After this is over, you don't have to do it right away. Just do it today before midnight. Comment your favorite part of Leyla Milani's interview on the @Hairtamin's Instagram account on the last post. Just comment your favorite part. 3 winners will get a 1-month supply of hairtamin.com. Okay.
Any formula you want.
Oh, perfect. Next question is, go ahead.
Oh, this one's a good one. All right, so during quarantine, sales on denim and fancy dresses has declined since we're all really locked in our homes. Do you think that brands should pivot and make comfy like sweatpants and face masks, or should they stick to their core products and wait till the storm passes?
100% you pivot. You move with the times. You never stay idle. 100%. Have you seen that meme that goes, people wearing jeans in quarantine? What are you trying to prove?
It sounds awful.
It's so funny. It's true. I mean, I'm lucky I even got dressed up as much as I did today, but I mean, I've been just wearing casual, comfortable clothing. I think 100% brands are going to have to pivot. And it's a great opportunity for fashion brands because you guys can make masks. You guys can make protective gear and make it look chic. Not all of us are on the front line. We don't need the N95s, but you can make cute masks, maybe with brand messaging, whatever's on trend right now, coordinating masks with different outfits. But I think comfort, safety, and health are the main things right now that people are concerned with. And so if you can play to that and offer products that make people feel safe, chic, and cute at the same time. I think you're gonna win.
So what about when brands hit you up about, since you have a large following, how do you decide who you would work with separate from the brands that you own? Is there ever a brand that you would actually work with?
Yeah, it's funny. I forget which of the panelists said this, but you kind of look at how they're messaging you. If it looks like they copy pasted something without having to even, bother to look through my feed to even see if I'm the right fit, then I just kind of, ignore it. But if they've taken the time and I can tell that they've studied me, they know who I am, mention, let's just say, my children, if they're reaching out to me, if it's a kids clothing brand, those are the kind of things that stay with you and matter. And I look for a relationship. I'm looking for partnerships that are going to be long-term, that is going to be mutually beneficial. So it's not always just about the fee that you're going to get, but it's also about that relationship and really the reputation of the brand.
Very good.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So when people message you, how do you filter through, since you get so many messages? Like, how do you decide who you're gonna actually be able to respond to?
Yeah, I dedicate a couple of days throughout the week to going through all my DMs.
Whoa.
And I do really read all my DMs.
Whoa.
It takes a while, but I do. And for me, I'm really big on engaging with your audience. That's the only way you're going to grow. And I love the feedback that I get from so many people about different aspects of my social media, my brands, lifestyle, and I get ideas for different things that I'm working on. So I do read every single DM, and I think it's really important to be connected and listen. And sometimes you find some great opportunities in those DMs. And one advice, if I could give, if you're reaching out to influencers, make sure you contact them on all different, whether it's email, DM, their agent, if they have it listed, Twitter, on all platforms. Don't just count on one avenue to get your message across, because not everyone's going to read every single DM like I do. So you want to make sure that your message does get across. But if they have their agent listed, I would definitely go about it that way, so you're professional. But just be authentic and be excited about your brand. And hopefully, if it's the right fit, then you guys will connect.
So we have 1 minute left, and you have multiple brands. Could you explain what the different handles are and websites are for your different brands people can go check out?
Yeah, so I'm at Leyla Milani, Leyla Milani, and then Hairtamin is at Hairtamin, Hairtamin, and then Leyla Milani Hair is my hair care brand, which is brushes and tools, and that's at Leyla Milani Hair. And then the website is hairtamin.com and leylamilanihair.com.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you. Say hi to Manny. Say hi to the kids. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next guest is a dear friend of mine, business partner on multiple projects, an executor. He's been on TV shows, built his own brands, helped other people build their brands. There's just so many different things. Just welcome Mr. Travis Lubinsky of Flex Watches.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh, look at that display in the back. That's genius. Look at
See?
that.
Always be closing. I like it. This is good, Travis.
All right, wait, do I need to wear a mask or no?
Yes, there it is. Now we're talking.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to, instead of a 60-second bio, give us the 2-minute bio, because you got a lot of stuff going on. Tell us everything.
Okay, well, like you said, I'm the founder of Flex Watches, and each color represents a different charity that we partnered with to give back 10%. And in the summer of 2011, when I was building my brand, I ended up being organically integrated into MTV's Real World. I had no idea what was going to happen, but after that season aired, did over $1 million in sales in the first 12 months. Shot to the forefront of the watch industry at the price point below $50. So I started just working with other influencers and celebrities in the space. I ended up partnering with Tyga and Damon John right in the beginning of Shark Tank. And my brand got into stores like Tilly's, Chic Shoes, Champs, a lot of mall stores across the country. And then eventually just decided to take my career to the next level. And I reached out to the TV show The Profit with billionaire Marcus Lemonis. And then Marcus invested in the brand and we became business partners, and just went on to do licensing deals with people like Disney, and Star Wars, and Dominion. So the whole premise of the brand has been to give back. And we've been on TV, like you said, over a dozen times and work with a lot of different celebrities and influencers to tell our story.
Awesome. As you mentioned, you are recognizably from The Profit when you took Flex Watches on. What would you say are the best and worst parts of being a brand recognized for being so vulnerable on such a massive platform?
Well, you hit it on the head, being vulnerable, right? Just putting yourself out there. And, you know, anytime you put yourself out there, whether it be on social media or TV, you get the good and the bad. So people have all sorts of things to say about you. So you got to have thick skin, and they have this idea made up in their mind that they know who you are based on a hour episode of reality TV. But when most people get to know you, they realize that there's a lot more to you. So I think it's great because it gives you a lot of exposure and it gives you a chance to tell your story. But there's also the negative side, is that you don't always know what story they're going to tell or how you're going to be perceived on TV. So I've cried on TV multiple times, and the whole world has seen it.
on repeat.
I guess it's kind of cool though, because then you get to see kind of, I mean, obviously in a show they portray you in a certain way, sometimes just to be more interesting, but in a sense you kind of get to see yourself and your product from a different view. So did you find that helpful, that you got to see it through different eyes, or was it just more like shocking and weird?
Yeah. I think it was cool to see how other people portray you, because you have this thing in your head that you play, like, you know, this movie that this is the person I am and this is who people think I am. But then when you have like a network or other people tell that story for you and you get to see what other people see, it's an interesting learning experience. And for me, it helped me grow a lot. I think through being on TV, I realized that there were definitely some things that I did wrong. Like, I often rushed the process, and sometimes I just shot from the hip, and I learned that that can be, you know, taken as carelessness or reckless. And I learned a lot from those experiences and gave me the ability to slow down and do things methodically, which has really helped me over the last 4 or 5 years with what I do and in business.
Pick a number 2 through 7.
5.
All right, we're gonna pick 5 winners of Flex Watches. You're gonna email winner@100millionacademy.com. What was the first rapper that Flex Watches and Travis worked with? What was the rapper that Travis mentioned that he worked with? Email winner@100millionacademy.com. We're going to pick 5 winners. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, well, knowing you so well personally, we know how compassionate and how much generosity you have. So it isn't a surprise that Flex Watch's mission involves giving back to the community. Aside from the gracious aspect of donating part of a company's sales to charities, would you recommend other entrepreneurs using a similar model? Why or why not?
Definitely. Not only has giving back helped me tell my story and make a difference in people's lives, but it also gives you a sense of purpose, and it gives your consumers a way to connect with you. And we started this company 10 years ago, where the only real company that was giving back was Tom's with the 1-to-1 model. And we got the idea from the Live Strong bracelet that Lance Armstrong had, that little yellow band. And at the time, we wanted to create a brand that had, you know, a social mission. And we saw that as something that could evolve into a trend. But now, these days, 10 years later, I think it's almost mandatory for you to at least be ethically sourced or give back to a community that manufactures your goods, but also doing something good in your community or just helping other people, especially right now, right? Like with the pandemic and everything that's going on, people want to feel good with what they're spending their money on. So if you give someone the ability to give back and feel a certain way, like they buy a watch and they feel really good, but then they realize that they're giving back to the Model Citizen Fund and providing emergency supplies, and they read the whole story and they go down this rabbit hole of how their purchase is impacting someone. And with Gen Z and even with some millennials, I think it's really important to them. That's why they buy from smaller brands that create impact. versus bigger brands that you don't really see that may just be doing charity for the write-off, So it's very important.
I think it's beautiful. People can like wear the impact on their wrist and like really feel a part of it every time they like check their watch to see what time it is. I think it's beautiful. Can you tell us about the licensing deals you have since there's so many major brands involved?
Yeah, so they all give back, right? So the idea of a small watch company going to Disney and getting a license with Star Wars is like, okay, how are you going to go about doing that? Why? Yeah, right. I got one right here. So as you can see on the back of the box, with each purchase, we give back to children in need. So there's always a story that we're telling. And for me, like this is the lightsabers on it, right? So like for me growing up, it had this idea of working with the biggest brands in the world, but how are we going to position ourselves uniquely so that we're not just another toy or gift, right? Because we're in that space of like under $50 price point and working with a huge company like Disney. They have their own gift stores, they have their own factories, they have the ability to make their own products. They could make a Star Wars watch if they want. But what makes it unique and what makes it special is that they're able to give back to the Boys and Girls Club. So when I approach Disney, I say, we have this awesome business model where with each purchase, we donate 10%. And not only do we want to give you guys a percentage of sales, but we want to match that and give a charity a percentage of sales. So now Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilms get the ability to then give back locally at a smaller level. And it creates this grassroots campaign that gives them something to write about and something to talk about. So it's exciting for those communities, whether it's Star Wars or the Minions, to get involved with something that gives back. And for us, it's just part of our DNA. So it's what differentiates us from, say, a Nixon who already has a Darth Vader watch, or just the normal watch in Target that's $10 for kids that has a Minions on it. It's different, right? So that's the approach we take. And for those who don't know about licensing is basically when you utilize a massive brand's IP, intellectual property, and you collaborate with them and you put their logos on your product. And a lot of times people just logo slap. They're like, this is the Minions character. But what we do is we try and make it fashion forward. So we try and use elements from their movies or from their storylines and really put thought into it. And a lot of the times we'll design the product before we ever meet with them or approach them. And they're like, whoa, this is a different take on what we're used to seeing, and it gives back, and it's a good price point. So licensing is a game where you have to prove sales. And as long as that you can show these companies that you can make an impact and earn them money, they're usually all about it.
Can you talk about point of purchase displays like that Flex Watches case in the background? That's called a point of purchase, or a pop. Can you explain about that and why?
Yeah, so I learned this on the Profit from Marcus. Actually made that display. That's why it's at my place, right? So a point of purchase display is supposed to be a silent salesman. You're supposed to be able to tell the story of your brand and basically connect with the consumer and sell them on your product without needing an actual physical salesperson to come over and say, this is this company, each color represents a different charity. They can see right on there, it's time to make a difference, right? And they start thinking in their head. And then you can put things, say, on a countertop display if you're in a store, like a little message, right? And what you're trying to do is essentially tell the person about your product and display it in such a way that makes them want to buy it. And point of purchase or POP displays, like someone mentioned earlier, are actually at the cost of the manufacturer or the brand. So what you're doing is essentially giving the store, the retailer, real estate to sell your product in. And I know, Dan, you did this a lot too back in the day when you were just ship ready to go boxes that opened up and you had your supplies inside. So it's just a really effective way sometimes to ship product, whether it's a small box that opens up and collapses, or something big like this that sits in a retail store and sells your product for you.
I love it. So you've worked with Marcus Lemonis brands for many years. Can you talk about how that experience has been?
Yeah. Well, it started with me crying on TV in front of millions of people. Then I got a $400,000 check. And then immediately after that, I became business partners with Marcus. Yeah, smile. And he actually ended up buying Flex watches from me. And we partnered on multiple brands, from shoes to sunglasses. And basically every brand that came on the Profit for a few years would come into my office, and you can see me on like a dozen different episodes working with other entrepreneurs to help build their brand and sell products online. And that's really what I do well, is create stories, build displays, and essentially tell that story through social media, whether that's with influencers or with paid media, email marketing, all those different things. So that's something that Marcus didn't necessarily do. He's really big on retail, but I saw that he had this gap in all his businesses from all the shows. And so I wanted to add value to him. So immediately we became business partners. We got a big office together and started working with other brands. And then in August of last year, I actually was in the position to buy my brand back. So I'm the first person that's ever gone on the Profit that sold my business to Marcus and then bought it back. So now I'm running the brand, and I've learned a lot from him, and he gave me a lot of resources, and he still sells my products in his stores to this day. He taught me about reverse licensing. So he actually created an entire division of his store called Flex Water Sports, and 200 retailers nationwide, and they sell paddle boards and wakeboards and all this with the brand that I built called Flex. So it's Flex Water Sports. It's been a crazy experience since I went on 4 years ago. And, to this day, we're still really good friends. And he works with Dan at the 100 Million Mastermind and Academy. So it's been an awesome experience.
So let's do one more giveaway. Let's actually do it in the comments. We're only gonna be able to pick one winner for this one because we already gave out 5 of the Flex watches. So we're gonna ship out 100millionacademy.com. One of these wooden crates. I want to lift it up, but it's super heavy. It's like, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds of stuff in here.
That thing is way too heavy.
So heavy. Okay. What is the question going to be? Oh, what is the name for a display case like that for a store? It starts with a P. It's a 3-word thing. There you go. Oh, wow. That was fast. That was fast.
Everybody's on it.
I remembered. I'm glad you guys are paying attention. That chat's crazy.
Whoa. Okay, so.
What does that stand for? What does POP stand for? How about that?
So Katrina, if you could.
Oh, whoa. There it goes. There you go.
I like the one that answered pop, 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 pop. So Katrina, if you could try to get a hold of the first or second person that answered. Normally we don't do it in order. It's just we pick randomly. In this one, let's try to pick the first or second person. If you could try to get a hold of them, Katrina. Okay, or Alec. All right, so we got 90 seconds left. What are your thoughts about the summer of 2020? What do you think about the retail space, the e-commerce space?
Okay, summer of 2020. I definitely think everyone has to focus on online digital marketing. It's going to take a while for retail to recover, and I think people are getting used to doing things online and having the ease of things being delivered to their house. I think a lot of people have never bought groceries online before, and that's probably the hardest thing for people to change. And now that they're doing that, I think they're, especially with accessories, they're gonna be like, why do I need to leave the house just to buy a new this or that? So you got to be able to sell online, and you have to be able to ship fast, like next day. So it's super important to have your products ready to go in a warehouse so that you can ship immediately. And then, with everything, Casey touched on it, just find a way to create impact, because you really have to stand out from all the noise. And it's going to be very difficult with all the fake news and things going on in the media. So
where can people find you, find your businesses on social?
I'm at Trav on Instagram and at Flex Watches on all social channels, and flexwatches.com. Feel free to send me a DM and connect.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, guys.
I'll talk to you every day anyways. So I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
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 All right, our next guest has multiple apparel brands. He's been in the game for years, from skateboard side, fitness side, streetwear side. It's really a pleasure to watch him build his social media brand and his apparel brands. In real time, we get to watch it evolve over the years, and his customers and the people he works with are so passionate about him and his companies. It's just a pleasure to watch. Please welcome Mr. Randall Pich.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
All right,
if
you could give a bit of a bio about yourself and the different brands that you have.
I am from Long Beach, California, born and raised, grew up skateboarding, did bodybuilding, men's physique and all that. That's how I first got introduced to that industry. And then all the brands that I own is Lifted Apparel, Top Threads, which is more of a streetwear brand. And then I have a printing company, Skylab Prints, and another tattoo brand called Gold English with another business partner, which is the last Ink Masters, the guy that won the last season, Tony Median. And yeah, those are all the brands.
I never told you, I grew up in Long Beach from 1 to 8 years old.
What?
What was the turning point that made you decide you wanted to turn your fitness lifestyle into more of an apparel lifestyle brand?
Right. So I've always had a thing for clothing brands or streetwear and whatnot. I've had multiple brands in high school, but all of those brands didn't work at the time. So then I started to pursue personal training. And I was already, I dug and did my own education and, learned how to like really scale a personal training business. So I was good at that, but I always wanted to make merch for my clients. So then when I started to scale the clothing side of the personal training business, I started making money while I was sleeping. So I was no longer trading my service, my time, in exchange for currency. I was making currency while I was sleeping. So then the turning point was when I couldn't physically package. Didn't have enough time to package the orders and all that stuff. It was getting overwhelming. So then I started having to hire people. And then, I just made the switch, once it was just, this was the thing I wanted to do. I had to talk with all my clients. They were understanding. So yeah, it was like a long period of time, but it happened. So
that actually leads into our next question. You did graphic design in high school. Are you still active in designing or just approving over the brands?
Right. Right now I'm still the lead designer.
Oh, wow.
I do most of the designs. Actually, now all of the designs. I do have other designers or graphic designers, but they make the tech packs after I do the rough designs and whatnot, and then they'll go ahead and vector it out. But I'm pretty hands-on in all of the brands except the Gold English, which is the tattoo artist. Obviously, he's got a better touch on that. But for Livid Apparel, it's all me right now.
That's awesome.
So we've watched you for years have a passion for skateboarding and outdoor sports. How do you tie those activities into your brand itself?
Right. That was the thing in the beginning, because there wasn't anything like that, prior. This is when, the men's physique bodybuilding thing started to blow up, as the skateboarders and surfers started getting older, there was, and didn't turn pro, we ended up going to the gym and wanted to get more healthy and things like that. But there was no brand at that time that really felt that we could fit in with. So I just kind of put my own spin to it. And with all the experiences that I had prior with streetwear brands that had failed, I just, turned it into with what Lift It is now. And I already had an audience and gained an audience through personal training, through men's physique. I kind of built a name for myself there, which really helped. And then I just, pushed it, created a team and marketed it like it was a skateboarding brand, like a lifestyle brand, instead of just so niche with the bodybuilding world,
That's awesome. So with that, how do you go about picking the influencers that you want to work with on your branding campaigns for the brand?
That's like a pretty common question. I mean, first, I have to see that they have already knew about the brand or already like the brand, because I want people that can speak on behalf of the brand, like myself, So they have to be about the lifestyle. So they have to be, living fit and make sure we all have the same mission, which is obviously to help people lead a healthier lifestyle, But I don't really look for like either followers or whatnot. I want to, because that's not the problem. We can take care of all that stuff. I want someone that can represent my brand just as much as, the team can or I can, So you just got to mesh well. Not just get along with myself, but get along with the rest of the ambassadors and the team. That's a huge, crucial part,
So when live events hit you up, how do you decide which ones you sponsor or attach your name to, whether it's skateboarding or fitness? If there's those type of live events, would you sponsor those, and how do you decide those?
If we were to sponsor events, sorry, I couldn't hear.
Yeah, events. If you were to sponsor events.
Sorry, the audio was cutting out. Can you say that one more time?
If you were to sponsor events, how would you decide if you were willing to sponsor skateboarding or surfing or fitness-related type events?
It either depends on the athlete that is performing during that event. Because we're at the point where we will just host our own events, or if we get asked to sponsor an event, I kind of see if it really fits or not. Our brand's pretty broad now. We have a pro surfer, we have a UFC fighter, we have a pretty broad spectrum, so we can cater towards any event. But for the specific events that we do sponsor, it goes down to if there's an athlete of ours that is part of the event, then we'll go ahead and sponsor it.
So what about when a sports team or athlete contacts you about endorsing them?
We'll talk about it, and we do have like MLB players and whatnot that do rock our stuff. We don't really promote it just because it's not like so specific with the brand niche, but we're always open to that, because we have the what do you call it? The list of requests is just a long list. We'll go through it, yeah, but like I said, it's just we the way I like to portray the brand or keep the brand is very, very small. At least the pro athletes. We're not the type of brand to where we just sponsor whoever just because they have X amount of influencers or whatnot. We want to keep this very, very organic, like how the brand grew. We're very grassroots, and so that's how we pick our peeps. Yeah.
Do any of your brands sell to retail stores, or do you focus all on e-commerce?
Actually, I've never said no to retail, but we do sell in stores right now. We're at about over 100 stores worldwide, but they're private stores, mom and pop shops, little surf shops or supplement shops. I've had offers from the corporate stores and denied them solely because of the terms that they had. They wanted net 90s, net 60s, and as a brand that grew with the organic growth of direct to consumer, I don't think those margins make any sense for us. We can move our own units, so I had to turn down a few pretty big contracts.
Yeah. So the audience, net 90 means, let's say that he gets an order on January 1st. So Randall gets an order January 1st. He's not going to ship it till, let's call it February 15th or March 1st. So March 1st they get their product. They're saying they're not going to pay Randall for 90 days after that. That's April, May, June 1st. Half a year later from when he got the order is when he gets paid. But along the way, Randall has product that actually sells through. So they could do a reorder in April and May. He hasn't been paid yet for the first order back in, think about this. So if they order $1 million from Randall, he's got to come up with $500,000 to make it, ships it to them, gets another order for another $1 million, needs another $500K to make it, hasn't been paid yet. That's what those net terms can really crush a business is, especially when you start talking about net 60, net 90. You could be out millions of dollars and still never get that first check from them. Okay, next question.
Right.
Can you talk about dealing with manufacturers or distributors and why it's so important?
Oh man, this has been a wild one, especially with the whole incident in China. First, it was Chinese New Year's in February, so all the factories take a break. But actually, let me backtrack that a little further. The tax tariffs was raised. It was a law that I think it got increased from 18% to 33%. So we had to pay an additional 33% of whatever the goods were just to import it from China, just because the economy in the U.S. they wanted to keep the manufacturers here. So we dealt with that, and then Chinese New Year, and now the whole COVID thing. But with that being said, you got to make sure you have manufacturers everywhere, because we have it in Pakistan, we have a ton of manufacturers here in the States, and then we do have it in Vietnam and in other areas as well. So we have backups, but you got to be able to move fast and make sure you're not binding in any contract that may screw you over later, But yeah.
So we're going to pick 5 winners. 4 of them are going to get a waist pack from LiveFit, and 1 is going to get one of these camo ones. Look at that. So what you have to do is answer below in the comment section. We're going to pick 5 winners. Once we choose the winners, they're not going to be in numerical order, so it doesn't have to be first. We're just going to pick 5 random winners. We're going to comment and get a hold of you and to get your address because we're going to ship out 5 winners. Ready? What city is Randall born and raised? All right. So next question.
How do you decide your price points?
How do you decide your price points? Like being affordable, mid-tier, or expensive?
It obviously depends on the quality of the product. I can price things and how scarce they are too as well, how rare it is to get the materials. But other than that, I always do the 50% markup, and I got to make sure I do. First, I didn't really care for the margin for wholesalers, because we weren't in any retailers or retail stores prior. So I was, selling my teas and whatnot for pretty cheap. But once you start scaling and then stores start hitting you up in distribution companies, they need to have margins to work with. So you got to price your price points fair enough to where they can make a profit as well. The stores that are carrying your stuff or the distribution companies that are distributing your clothing in other countries too, So those are all factors that play into the cost and what we're going to price it at,
Do any gyms carry your clothing? Is that something that are gyms interesting for you, or do you stick to e-com and retail stores?
There are some gyms, but most gyms that carry us are actually international. There's like Train from in the United Emirates carry us. But then there's the private ones here too that are in like the LA Fitnesses, the muscle bars. It's like a bar that's inside LA Fitness. So we have an account with Muscle Bar and a few other like Max Muscles and things like that are inside. Some of them are inside gyms, but yeah.
So sorry, puppy's going wild over here. When you're coming up with your products, how do you decide if you're going to do pants or you're going to do hats, shirts? Like you have so many different options. How do you decide what you're going to put into a line?
Honestly, it depends on where we're all at in our point of life, however I'm feeling and whatnot. And athletes, we literally, that's the cool thing about having a direct-to-consumer brand. We kind of just dictate how or what we're going to drop. Recently in the past couple months, we've been dropping things week after week, even during this pandemic time, because of the manufacturing that we can do in-house. We've literally just, it's getting warm. Let's drop, some new shorts, which we just did on Friday. And we just dropped a ton of new girl stuff. But it's literally how we feel and whatnot, or if we're planning for an event, or something like that. But yeah, we have our categories are so broad. We have like skateboarding, surfing. We just launched an Explorer line for the adventure peeps. So yeah.
You have kids clothing as well, right?
We did, but dude, that's so rough, the sizing and whatnot. It was just way too hard, so we kind of like just scrapped that.
It's a tough market. They just keep growing so fast. All right, can you tell people where to find you and each of the different brands?
You can find, I have my personal website, randall-pich.com, or liveitapparel.com. And then the Top Threads brand is topthreadsinc.com, but they're all there on the randall-pich.com.
And then your social media?
Yeah, my Instagram is Randall_Pich, P-I-C-H.
Awesome.
Yep.
Appreciate you being here with us tonight. Thank you very much for the information.
Sweet, dude. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Bye, thank you.
All right, take care.
All right. Our next guest has the most energy of any human I know on the planet. He's very entertaining to watch. He provides a lot of great content because he's lived a lot of lives. Him and his family have built some of the biggest paintball parks on the planet. He's won paintball championships. He's opened up burger restaurants. He has fashion brands. He has hair care companies, a hair studio. Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to remember all these different things. Please welcome @Degidio.
What's up? It's good to be here. Thank you for having me on, Dan.
All right. You have 15 minutes. That's going to be your whole bio. The whole 15 minutes, just do your bio.
Yeah, I know, right?
Tell us what you're working on. Give us a little background.
Right now, you kind of hit most of the things I work on, but quickly, just so to kind of give you a little background for people that don't know me, I come from the sports park background. So I operate 6 of the largest paintball and airsoft parks in the world. I do about 500,000 customers a year, kind of transform the entire space, reposition the game more as a sport and something people could do every weekend, utilizing social media and video content worldwide, created a brand that sold worldwide. And then on top of all that, that's when I started to realize that social media, creativity, ads creation, content creation, my friends, I can kind of work with them to develop something more unique, which is kind of like an incubator of brands and marketing and ad space, which came Bear and Honey Group. And through Bear and Honey Group, which is my creative agency, I built restaurants, hair brands, clothing brands, all barber shops, barber product, all kinds of stuff in different spaces. And now I'm kind of focused entirely just on the creative side of it.
So walk us through a couple of these businesses. Tell us about the burger spot, because you got millions and millions and millions of views on French fries. Like, how do you do something like that?
Yeah, so I think that the most important thing is if people are watching this, is to understand that I come from the sports park background, and I do that very well. And I use those tools and those assets and applied it to everything else. And in the process of all this, it's like kind of like, understanding yourself in a way. You understand that marketing is marketing, social is social, social media ads are social media ads, paid ads are paid ads, and you can apply it to anything you want. And when you start learning that and you start utilizing those tactics in every industry, you kind of become this like, karate man, and you have this full bag of tricks that you could pull out to help you get through any fight. And that's kind of what I did. I kind of created the MMA, which is like the mixed martial arts version of this, where you combine all the different types of martial arts, which is not just karate, but now I put in kicking and punching and whatnot. And that's how I created these ads and these videos and kind of everything I do for all the different brands. I kind of use a variety of things. So for food, for example, I use the idea of really crazy, attracting, eye-grabbing ads, how you would do for Facebook, and use it for food. And then we created really crazy food. And then I would call up every single news, which is now in today's time, news is like high-end social media pages that content about food, and be like, yo, come down to my restaurant. Let's have a lunch. Let me show you guys a full experience. We're going after McDonald's. I got in a fight with them at ComplexCon. I'm challenging Burger King. I tweeted at Arby's and put them in the dirt. Like, things just went nuts. So now everybody wants another story. So they would come, and it just kept rolling and rolling. And we did, French fry videos with the fry roulette, 400 or 500 million views. Magical burgers, 200 million views. Featured on Delish, BuzzFeed, the most viral burger on the web for 2 years in a row. So it's like utilizing all these cool things to try to get one result, which is traffic and high search volume and really good attention on the internet.
There's tens of thousands of burger joints. Why you? How does it work? Like, how does the magic happen?
Well, that's the first thing, is whenever you go into a space, you have to identify what the space is missing. So when I first got in the burger space, I realized like everybody could get a $1 Junior Whopper. Everybody could go get a 99-cent, cheeseburger from McDonald's. Everybody could go to In-N-Out and get a $3 burger. But none of those places, unless you're really getting like a Happy Meal for your kid, is Instagrammable, sociable. People will argue that and say, well, In-N-Out's the number one sociable pick on Instagram, right? It gets the most attention. You post an In-N-Out burger, doesn't matter what time of the day, everybody's saying yum and showing every tongue emoji like you're a hot chick. So when you kind of come through this, you have to realize that people want something to express on their page. So when we created the Magical Burger, the idea is even though it's $30, even though it costs as much as a car, people are going to want to drive down and eat this 4-patty, 4-cheese, crazy monstrosity of a burger because it looks so cool and it gives them an experience. It's the same reason why people spend $100 to go wait in lines at Disneyland all day and only go on 2 things. It's the experience aspect.
So true. So you work with so many influencers, brands, rappers, and athletes. How important are relationships to the brand and the product world?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest thing is that people need to understand is that influencers are creators. And if you align yourself with the right creator and you align yourself with the right music artist, right, that they can tell your story better than you can. So as a brand, you no longer need to have an insane following. You no longer need to have an insane platform of people and subscribers. You can work with influencers. You can work with content creators, artists, athletes, anybody who's on social, and you can skyrocket any campaign overnight. And that is one of my biggest tools, is that I'm able to launch a brand so quickly, and not just launch a brand to try to be like a social media guru or entrepreneur and have all these cool stats in my bio, but launch a brand to be successful where the influencer's making money off collab deals, is getting paid off residuals, and the brand works. And I think that so many people, they rush so quickly to work with an influencer or celebrity, or they want to take a photo with someone, they kind of miss the purpose of why you're working with them to begin with. So I think the first and foremost thing is understanding that, like, hey, by 2023, there's going to be $25 billion in ad spend on videos. That's what they're projecting. Like, where are you going to be in that? Like, is your photo with your micro influencer, or is your photo with your rapper going to be enough to catapult your brand to the next level? You're competing against billions of dollars in ad spend. So that's the thing, is that you have to kind of take a step back for a second and say, what does my brand need and how am I going to get there? And then you start isolating the situation and start figuring out exactly what you need.
That's powerful. So with all the Bear and Honey Group clients and the businesses that you own, there's always like dope hoodies and hats and accessories. Can you talk about how you make people excited to wear the clothes, about puff delivery or a burger restaurant?
Yeah. Well, one of my huge successes that I've had in my entrepreneurship is that I created a bunch of clothing brands that I partnered up with ASOS, Zoomies, Bloomingdale's, PacSun, Nordstrom's, and I was sold in a variety of retailers. I had a nationwide buy from Urban Outfitter, which means every Urban Outfitter across the country. And, our sell-through rate was really good because of the campaigns we were running. And the idea always was that if you make something that's unique and that you stand by, people are going to want to stand by you too. So that always comes back to this grade school, elementary philosophy of, if you're good to people, people will be good to you. If you go out of your way to help people, people will go out of your way to help you. And I always like to give, never, with that cliche version of trying to wait to receive, but I just like to work with my friends. So I've worked with so many people around the country, around the world, that when I do drop something, I always intertwine my roots, which is clothing, into that brand. And I use that as an activator. So it's like, hey, you know what? I'm coming out with this new brand, but here's something that has nothing to do with hair product. It's a cut and sew jacket that's $400. I only made 30 of them. You're getting one. And that value to them is they understand, like, hey, he's actually going out of his way to include me on this, not for me to post, not for me to do anything, but just to be a part of his journey. And I think is when you include your friends and your family on your journey, people want to ride with you.
Yep.
Can you tell us about Puffy Delivery?
Yeah, so Puffy Delivery is a cannabis delivery service that we launched through social media and was the first of its kind to launch through social media. My partners are, amazing people. Mike and Pat, they've been in the space for so long. And when we designed the brand, we designed it to be family friendly. And I know that sounds crazy, but there's so many people that use cannabis as a wellness tool, as a way to get better and get ahead in life without, damaging their self or their body. So Puffy Delivery was one of those brands where it looked friendly, it looked inviting, it had great color scheme. The branding behind it was designed to be a welcoming aspect. So that way people are excited to get their box, excited to get their delivery. And it was family friendly for social, which it didn't have that cannabis nostalgia to it where everybody gets so scared and it's so taboo.
All right, as an entrepreneur, you have definitely invested in and started some of the most fun products and experiences, which is equally matched by your full of life and fun-loving attitude that many people follow you on social media for. So how important do you think your own personal online presence is being represented on social media is to your overall success of your investments in your businesses and brands?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, someone like Dan, I've been in the social media space for 10 years. I met Dan when I was 20 years old. I'm, 29. So I met Dan 9 years ago. I was working with guys like Anderson Silva 10 years ago. That's a decade ago on Facebook content when no one even was thinking about doing this type of stuff. But I knew that that's where I wanted to position my paintball parks to be the leading, kind of front runner in what you can do on social media to grow a business. We scaled from 100,000 people a year to 200,000 people a year to 500,000 people a year through social media. That is it. That is the only form of advertising. And people can argue it, but the idea of what you want to do is make sure that your brand, which is you, your personal space, your aura, what you do for people is great, right? And you want to go out of your way to help people. So not that I would ever want to, write a list of things I've done for people, but over the last 10 years, like I've been around Dan a lot of this, and Dan's seen a lot of things I've gone out of my way to do for people. Never to post on Instagram, never to show, never to gloat, never to try to chase clout. It's always just been doing it because these are good people, and these are people that I want in my life that will support me. So I've lived my whole life like this. So for the last 10 years, I've been working with people worldwide, and I've been traveling, and I was really heavily involved in professional paintball. So I spent every weekend on the road for 10 years. So I really have a lot of unique groups of friends across the country. So interacting with people and making sure that you're there for people when they need you, and you're not just always asking for handouts and reaching out to try to get the best out of people, but you're there for people is the most important thing you can do. And when you can translate that into social media content, and you can have fun with your content, and you don't take your page so seriously like you're a Wilhelmina Ford model and everything's got to be perfect, I think people kind of gravitate towards that. They want to be around the everyday person, and they want to be around the person that's not trying to put on a show, even though half of my stuff is nuts and outrageous, but that's just me having fun if you knew me in real life. And that's the most important part.
So you've kind of touched on this at various points, but you have tons of influential friends who easily and naturally just post about your products and your businesses for you. What do you think is really a huge factor in getting people so captivated by your product, aside from being your friend, that they want to post it on their own? They just feel naturally compelled to do it.
Yeah, I think that with any young entrepreneur, so if I could give myself advice 5 years ago, not that I'm old and wise, but if I could look back 5 years ago and say, hey, these are a lot of the things I did wrong, I think one of the most important things I would look at now moving forward is that what do people need in their everyday life? Like, how can you help someone in their everyday life? And what kind of value through content or brand can you give them that they want to be a part of this? And at the same time there's so many kids that stretch themselves so thin over trying to create brands and trying to be so trendy that they miss the boat. I never like to be the guy that's like, oh, this isn't for you, this is only for you. I'm inclusive with everything I do. It's the opposite of the Supreme effect. So you have Supreme, which is the most exclusive, non-inclusive style of a brand where it's either a reseller or a kid who waited in a 3-hour wait line, or you have the brand that includes everybody and brings people a part of the fold. At one time, you could have someone like Drake wearing my jersey, or you could have a Jake Paul, which is arguably the most dynamic opposite ends of the spectrum. But the idea is that they're wearing something that translates a singularity of the brand message or dialogue, which is, hey, this brand represents having fun, being good to people, being cool, and being on a lot of people, not just cool people. Because so many people only want to post the dope rappers that wear their clothes or the sick Instagram model. Like, dude, post your KOLs, your known opinion leaders, your known opinion customers. Post the people that actually buy your product so people know that there's actually people that wear this and want to be a part of it. And I think that style of thinking is where I win in a lot of these brands that I build, because I do try to build a new brand every month almost.
Yes. So recently you've been making a barbershop famous. Like, how do you make barbershops and burger shops famous?
So the barbershop for everybody, it's kind of funny. Like, I made hair product and I made a lot of really good hair brands. So I've owned 3 pomade brands. All 3 were super successful. One of them involved just doing collabs with, influencers and YouTubers. And not every brand I make every month is successful. Not everything I do is always successful. But the idea is you learn from it quickly, you adapt. If it doesn't work, you move on. And you double down on the things that do work. You don't worry about people that are trying to count your wins and your losses. And you worry about keeping your own tab and making sure you're healthy mentally and physically. So for me, I was like, hey, everything's going good. My creative agency is crushing it. We just hired 5 people more on top of what we had already running all my parts. Yeah. So we have almost 10 people now full time. I'm like, let's just create something different. Let's have a barbershop that's in Newport Beach that people can go to, that's trendy, that's fun, that gets guys in and out. Like, why do girls have to have the dope spas? Why do girls have to have like the sick nail salons where like they bring you like croissants and hot chocolate while you're getting like your pinky toe done? Like, dude, I want to get dialed in too. I'm a dude, but I want to look good at the same time. And I want to feel like I'm in a cool spot where there's really cool energy going on. Like LeBron James interrupted barbershop show. Like, you go into our barbershop, we have Drake playing, we have beers and water, everybody's turned up, we have a balcony overlooking the water. I walk down to the Duffy, I hop on the water, we're turned up, we go right back, we get lined up, You see the vibes? Like, that's what people want. So it's like, that's what we did. So then we threw on hoodies. We started handing out clothes, and I started doing a bunch of viral videos, and it worked out. So we have Hype Cuts in Newport Beach. It's fun. It's a vibe. And, it's like 10 minutes away from Groundhouse Burger, which is the burger restaurant.
So now you also have clients too with Bear and Honey Group.
Yeah.
Things like.
By the way, I love that crew neck on you. It looks amazing.
Thank you, sir. Is like the energy drink, is that a client? Is that a partnership? Like, tell us about some of the clients, like what you try to do for them.
Yeah, so Bear and Honey Group is a creative agency that is I hate using the word creative agency, so excuse me, but it's so limiting. So we're basically an agency, and instead of saying creative, we're just an agency. Yep. And the agency works with 700 plus influencers, celebrities in every single category, athletes in every category. And what I do is very easy. I work with brands, and I bring money to my friends, and I get my friends paid. That's an amazing concept. Who wouldn't want to just get your friends paid all day?
Exactly.
But then at the same time, we take it a step further, and that's where we shine. And what we do there is we'll take a brand and we'll figure out how to launch it in the social space, whether that's creating offers, creating audiences, whether that's retargeting campaigns, full ClickFunnels style campaigns, retargeting in terms of the assets, the online marketing. And we strategize what a brand needs to survive. But what I think people really need to understand is you need to strategize what you need to be healthy, not just survive. Surviving is one thing, right? We can all be on an island just eating leaves, but we want to be nice and a little plump. You know what I mean? We want to be a little thick. We want to be eating good. And to eat good, you got to be able to have an idea that keeps you healthy. And that idea is marketing. So we create a marketing strategy for the brands that allows them to reach more than what they're doing. So we really target, and we're really specific on each brand.
So can you tell us about the energy drink?
Yeah, so like say A-Shock Energy is an amazing energy drink. It's sold in, I think, over 100,000 stores right now nationwide. It's a drink with clean energy. It's a drink that literally, it provides something that no energy drink in the market provides. And so many people say that with everything they develop. But what's cool about this is the clean energy, the amino acids, the BCAAs. And what we did is we partnered up the brand with people that spoke the brand's language, not just people that had high following or people that look good or people that have six packs. I wish I had a six pack, but I don't. So instead I drink A-Shock Energy. And that's the idea, is that we want to provide a drink that's inclusive. And once again, that's going back to the basics of understanding that when you build a brand, you need to know your audience. So we kind of just teardrop it and we go step by step to make sure that the brand gets everything they need to be successful, and then turn it on a little bit.
And then separate from the burger spot, you also open up a fish place. Like, tell us about that. Are you going to do multiple different types of restaurants?
Yeah, so we have Portside Fish Co. So my partner, Andy Wynn, he owns all the Afters ice creams. He's an amazing entrepreneur as well. Chef Fernando, he just cooks up anything that my idea can think of, or his idea. The guy has an amazing taste palette. It's like a young Gordon Ramsay, but he's like Mexican and he's dope and he's a little big, hits the weights. So we have like a good team. So if you have a good team around you, you can kind of do anything, right? So I plan in the next 2 years to open up a new style bar. It's like a Dave & Buster's style bar, but more for adults, less for kids, in Orange County. I'm working on a restaurant right now that's like a new style hibachi restaurant that allows people to really turn up while egg rolls are flying and chicken fried rice is coming at you at 100 miles an hour. So there's a bunch of different things I'm working for. And I'm working for these goals. I'm not working towards them. I'm working for them. These are goals that I set up, and I know that what the goal needs, maybe I don't have right now, or maybe I don't have the time. So I'm going to keep working towards it. And that's the idea. So I set up a bunch of these game plans, and I have the next 2 or 3 years roadmap. I also have huge plans for my sports parts, for my other brands. I'm going to bring back a clothing line with Urban Outfitter. I'm working on a deal right now with Nordstrom's before COVID. So there's a lot of other things that I'm going to be bringing back. And I'm bringing back hair products, and that will probably launch sometime in September. It's a whole new line. So just as much stuff as I can kind of physically put together, and I know I could be successful at it, not just throw money away.
And where can people find you and your brands on social?
Just at Bear Degidio, BEAR, and then Degidio, DEGIDIO. My personal page, I normally post a bazillion things a day on my story anyways, so I'm sure you'll see something there.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of fun stuff on the stories.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I like to share everything I work on and kind of like give as much knowledge as I can of what I have. I mean, so many people on Instagram always trying to do this and do that and have, their own opinion. So as much of content as I could give for free to people that follow me, I'd love doing it.
Awesome. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on Instagram stories.
Always. Thank you, Dan.
Later.
Thank you.
All right. Our next guest, Esma, has built up 2 amazing brands. One of them is wildly successful. The second one, she's now making wildly successful on her own. The first one she started with partners. It was called Ivory Ella. This brand has sold, I can't even explain how much on social media. And then she decided to start a brand called Crybaby. And this Crybaby brand has been worn by celebrities, influencers, and everybody in between. Please welcome Esma.
Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Can you give us a bit of background for like 60 seconds? And then we got so many questions for you.
Yes, of course. So I got started 2009. Like I was on Twitter. I was literally 14 years old. I had a Justin Bieber fan account. Yeah, I always went on Tumblr and Twitter. I was always on social media. And I started, I don't know if you remember this, Stargaze Jewelry. I sold like mini chokers. That blew up a lot on Twitter back then. And then I got my start in Ivory Ella from meeting people from the Twitter community. And then now I finally did Crybaby. I wanted my own clothing line besides like partnerships. And I'm here.
So, yeah, tell us about Crybaby.
So yeah, I wanted my own clothing line, just something for myself because with the Ivory Ella, it was just 5 people working on it, and I just wanted something for myself. And right now, it's more like a community I'm trying to build, and I'm dropping clothing pieces like every few months, and it's really big on Instagram, and I'm just trying to work on that now.
So what I liked about Ivory Ella is that you partnered with charities. Can you tell us about the charity aspect of it?
Yes, so we are working with ToSaveTheElephants.com. We have saved a couple of elephants, I'm pretty sure. And we donate 10% of profits to Save the Elephants. And yeah, they've been to Africa too, and we just done a lot with them.
How important do you think it is for brands to tie in charity aspects to them?
I think if you have a story, if it matches, you should definitely do it. Like we did Ivory Ella because we wanted to save the elephants, and yeah.
Is Crybaby focused solely on clothing, or do you have accessories as well?
No. So I basically do all the clothing myself, and it's just clothing. But I'm trying to make it a community, like I said. I don't know how to say this, but I want the followers like somewhere to go and talk. Like I want it to be like real retail therapy, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Somewhere, because I'll post on Instagram, like just like, what are you feeling today? Like I'll talk to them as if we're friends, and we were lucky enough to build a real big following off that because people really meet each other on the Instagram page, like at Crybaby. And lately we've been doing blog posts on it too, on crybaby.com, and we just like help, like ways to help with anxiety, ways to help with all that mental stuff. And people are really like coming and connecting with each other, and they just like, it's like a safe space to go on and just talk to each other. So it's really like more than clothes I'm trying to make it.
It's beautiful.
If that makes sense.
How did these mega celebrities such as Ariana Grande start wearing Crybaby?
So I truly believe that if you have like a really good product, that they'll come to you. And she actually, like, I'm a huge fan of Ariana. Like she's my idol. And she followed me because I made she was launching Thank You Next at that time. And I made this edit for her, and she liked it because we post a lot of inspirational stuff on Crybaby, and she messaged me. So she would, like, for a few months she liked some pictures on it, and she was just like, oh, I love the message of your brand and all that. And I was so scared, but I asked her if I could send her something, and she was just like, oh no, it's okay, like I'll order it. So like a week later she just DM'd saying, I forgot what it was like, oh, I'm wearing the crew neck, I'm gonna take a picture. And I was just like crying. I know, I didn't even send it. Like she didn't even allow me. She was so nice. She ordered like 10 stuff from the website. She was so kind. And she posted it on her story too. And I was just like, shaking.
Oh my gosh.
So I really believe that if you have a good message and a good product, that anyone could come to you. Like, you don't have to reach out to 100 influencers if you have a good message that they'll follow you and come to you.
So in high school, you're 14 years old, you have a Justin Bieber fan page, and then last year I see pictures of you with him. So tell us about that evolution.
Oh, yeah, I'm just, in high school, I really was a huge fan. I'm embarrassed, but I was. I would go to all his concerts and just see him. And I built relationships back then with his you probably know, managers and the people in it. So I was still in one of his fan clubs. So I got an email that he's doing the YouTube documentary. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
This series. So they did it, and I recently moved to LA. So he had a viewing or something. So I got invited to that. And I don't know how. I just he was right there. And I'm just hi, I'm a big fan. And he's like, do you want a picture? I'm like, yeah. That's literally how it happened, honestly.
So when you were working with partners in the past, talk about the creativity aspect when you have five chefs in the kitchen, if you will. How does that work on the creativity side?
What's good about with the partners was I was mainly the creative one, and also another person, Jacob. But everybody had their own role. One guy was doing the computer tech, and then another one was doing operations. So we all had different stuff, so we didn't really step on each other. So they kind of went with what I said for creativeness, and I went with what they said for the operations and warehouses. So we didn't really fight about anything. So we just mutually agreed. And if anyone had to say something, we would just express it. It's pretty easy. I guess if there was more than one creative person, it'd be hard, but we were lucky enough that we were all separate.
With Crybaby, would you sell products to retail, or do you focus strictly on e-commerce?
No, just strictly e-commerce. I don't think I would want to do retail, but I wanted to do a pop-up shop, but I don't think that's going to happen right now, especially with what's going on. But hopefully in the future, I would like to do pop-up in LA and New York.
Yeah, I think that's a great fit for your brand.
Yeah.
So you naturally have gotten people, obviously, like Ariana Grande, that have reached out to you and gotten your product and then posted for you. Do you do any reaching out to actual influencers, or do other influencers reach out to you? And how does that really work with your brands?
So in the past, a lot of influencers have reached out. Some of the biggest names have reached out, and we've sent them stuff. But we also reached out to some too, and I learned that it's really hard. When you reach out to some of them, they don't answer, or they'll charge a fee. And I'll be straight up honest, I have not paid any influencer to market Crybaby yet. I'll ask for their address, and then I'll send them the product if they like it. Majority of the time they post in it, but I haven't done anything crazy for that yet. I haven't done any agencies, or just email and ask for address. I think that's the easiest way right now.
Awesome. Especially with your own brand, Crybaby, how did you decide the price points that you were going to charge?
So I didn't want it to be $200 for a dress. Especially people that's 18, 20, 21, they can't really afford that, especially with everything going on. I wanted something that's Urban Outfitters price range. I love Urban Outfitters. They're a little more they're not Forever 21. But they're 50, 60. So I wanted to keep everything pretty good, but not too cheap, because I didn't want to be like Forever 21. So I decided 30s to 80s. So I stuck with that number, and I do everything around that.
So what platforms do you like marketing your products on the most outside of Instagram? Are there other platforms that you like?
Yes, I love Twitter. I really do. It's really organic. You could post a picture and it could get trending by itself. And I also love Pinterest a lot. It's so much inspiration on it, and it's so easy because you could just click I'll post a picture and then it'll go organically trending, but then it'll direct it to the website too. You could do it to the Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter mainly. And I'm kind of starting YouTube too. By sending out to influencers for like hauls and all that. And I haven't tried TikTok. I want to do a lot of TikTok. Yeah, I hear it's really good right now.
Yeah, it seems like for your brand, with the age range, demographic, the name is so catchy and easy to remember. I think it's a great platform for you. And TikTok influencers are excited because they're brand new, so they're not worried about getting paid. They just want to do good content. I think it's a great fit for your brand. I mean, things can go so viral. Like I don't have a large following there, but I'll get 250,000 views on a video like every third or fourth video. And it's just because TikTok is just nice about it. They're like,
it's crazy.
It's the one platform, like she has a video with 1.8 million views that started off with a few thousand followers, and then she gets 1.8 million views, and it's just like, you don't know. You just put in the content, and I think it's great for your brand.
It's so organic, yeah.
And so, are you a full-fledged brand? Are you interested in doing like denim and hoodies, or is it just certain key core products that you like to focus on?
No, so last year I randomly decided that I want to do swim, and it did well. I really experiment on anything that I like. Like I could be watching a movie and I'll see like a t-shirt that I want to like recreate, but do something different with it. Anything. I'm trying to do like tote bags now, and like fall leather bags too, and like water bottles. Trying to do everything, honestly.
All right, so we're gonna pick 3 winners that are going to get $100 gift cards to crybaby.com.
Yes.
What city did Esma just move to last year? Answer in the comments. What city did she just move to? And we're going to pick out 3 winners that get $100 gift cards for Crybaby. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Let's think of another question. Could you open that window?
I'm curious. So, going off the whole like celebrity thing, do you ever or will you ever create clothing with specifically a celebrity in mind to hopefully kind of like catch their attention?
I would. I didn't do it to catch your attention, but I recreated Rachel from Friends. Do you guys know Friends?
Yeah.
Her plaid skirt, and it was the #1 seller. Like it went, people still ask for it. Okay. So I recreated that. And I think it's a huge thing to recreate something from like the 90s because you can't get it anymore. So I definitely want to do a lot more of that. People love that, honestly.
Are there certain podcasts or books or things that give you inspiration? Are there certain things that you see that you like to watch?
I love 90s movies, 90s shows, and Tumblr. I'm on Tumblr so much. Like 24 hours a day, I'm on Tumblr. I actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I would say Tumblr. You could get a lot of inspiration from there. And I've been on it since I was like 11.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So will Crybaby ever do accessories like you did with Stargaze?
Yes, I'm trying to bring that back, kind of, but not Stargaze. I'm trying to bring it back to Crybaby because honestly, I miss jewelry so much, and I can't find like the best jewelry for a reasonable price. So I'm actually working on bringing that back. Like next month, it should probably launch, hopefully.
Oh, that's fast.
Like a huge,
what price point do you like to be at?
For jewelry, like 30s to 60s. So they're like gold filled, but they're not $100 jewelry. Like still the same price point. Like everyday jewelry wear.
And then where can people find you? They can find your brand.
Crybaby.com. Instagram is @Crybaby, and me, Instagram is @Esma, ESMA.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to have you. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course. Bye.
All right. Our final speaker, Mr. Adam Goldston. He has created a brand that has fought with some of the biggest shoe companies on the planet. It is no easy task, I can tell you. These are major, major household name brands. He's out there fighting with these 800-pound gorillas and doing an extremely great job at it. He just recently opened up his first flagship store inside the Grove Mall, one of the busiest malls in the freaking country.
One of the only shoe brands I will wear.
One of the only shoe brands my wife wears. Please
I
welcome
appreciate that.
Adam Goldston. All right.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. You are our final speaker closing out the evening. Please give us a bit of background of how you got to where you are today with the business, and we're going to ask you some questions.
So since we don't have that much time, I'll give you the short rundown. So we're about 10 years in now. It started with my brother and I in our dorm room. We wanted to create basketball shoes that would instantly make ourselves jump higher, but the goal was to always create luxury performance products. So we've always had a really long-term horizon. So we believed if we started something and we just kept working at it and were persistent, we could build it over a long period of time. And things that take a long time to build are typically more sustainable. And so for us, we wanted to create a category that didn't exist, which was luxury performance. But it really started by just creating product for ourselves. And that was the root of everything. So I'd say we thought about what we wanted as consumers. And then that was the starting point, because I think you need to always have an authentic and organic point of view is where you're starting from. And then you can layer things on there depending on what comes next. But the foundation is always the most important part.
Awesome. So many athletes, celebrities, industry executives, and fans support your brand. I've seen it for countless times over so many years. What makes people want to organically post about your shoes or clothing?
I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. So I think there's definitely reasons that I don't know about, which, so I can't touch on those, but I think some of the key pillars of anything, not just the reason why people wear APLs, is social equity is something that's important when people post things. And so there has to be something that comes along with it. So if you're not paying people, or if there's not something that they're getting that's a monetary benefit, there has to be something that comes along with it that's exceptional from that. So for us, the way that we looked at it is that we have a luxury performance. Our price point is high. It's something where if you don't know what it is, you might not notice it, but once you know what it is, you feel like you're a part of something. And because, like Dan, as you were saying, the category is such a large category with so few players. So you can be a substantial business that's large and still be small and special in comparison to the other players. And that's the way that we looked at it, is that we create a product, it sits at the top of the market because of price point. So that's the starting place. Our technology is superior, and we think our design and aesthetic is superior as well. So when you combine those, and when somebody posts it, it's intriguing because there's not a huge logo right when you see it. So you have to explore to find out what it is. And so I think that for people that typically get paid to represent brands, I think when there's something else where there's an intriguing aspect where you have to click to learn more, you have to explore it, I think that's one of the reasons why people have really gravitated. And I mean, they look great too. So I think that they show up really, really well on social. So that's one of the reasons why people continue to share it.
As you mentioned, APL is considered a luxury performance brand. Can you expand more upon why you and Ryan decided on focusing on that lane in the market?
Yeah, so it was apparent to us early on that we didn't want to go head to head with anybody. And so what we believed is, I think Dubai is a good example, right? So Dubai is like a luxury capital of the world, and it sits in its own place. So everybody sees it. They love the look of it. They want to go visit it. It looks incredibly special. It's an amazing place. And the way that we looked at it is luxury performance in the top of the category was the same type of thing. Nobody occupied it. We believed we could build this category that didn't exist. And typically to enter in a market, you need to enter at the bottom, you need to enter at the top. And we had no interest in entering at the bottom, and we believed we could enter at the top and offer a superior product that was way different and with less competition. And that's what we did. At the time, there was nobody that was selling athletic product in Saks, Barney's, Neiman's, those types of places. And so we believed that the people that were going to these places, in addition to our website, were looking for a superior athletic product that felt different and didn't have the same super mass distribution. And there's really only 10, 12 players in the world in the category. So we believed we could own our own section, not be competing with other people, have a great profit margin, and build the business in a slow and sustainable way. And so that's really why the top of the market, which is luxury performance, is what we sought out to build.
Awesome. Can you tell us about some of these unique partnerships you've created in the past with American Airlines and F45 gyms and brands like that?
Yeah, so I think that for the most part, people typically think that if you do a small partnership or you do a big partnership, that there's way different amount of work that goes into both of them. And the way that we viewed it from just, I guess, track record, making mistakes and then learning from it, is that the big partners require the same amount of work as the small partners do. So we wanted to focus on brands and organizations and companies that brought something unique to the table, that had mass global distribution and could tier us higher than, I guess you would say, our competitors. So when you think about an American Airlines, we're the official onboard amenities kit for business and first class. F45 is the fastest growing gym network in the world. I think now, I mean, obviously with COVID-19 things are closed, but pre-COVID they had 1,500 locations and expanding on their way to 5,000. So it's the largest gym network in the world. And you look at SoulCycle, it's top tier in terms of that. And so the way that we looked at it is we want to create specialized product for these environments where we can show up. And again, we don't like competing head to head with people. We want to basically own that area of distribution, kind of like what we did with Lululemon. So when we launched with Lululemon, we're the official and only third-party brand sold in their store, the only footwear brand. So we own the footwear experience within those locations. So anytime we're doing a partnership, we need to make sure that we have, I get for the most part, sole distribution. We're the only people there. We can create a compelling product you can't get anywhere else, and that they're bringing something to the table and we're bringing something to the table to make it so that it's a way different experience than if either of us try to do it on our own. So for us, like obviously travel is a part of luxury, which is luxury performance. And so American Airlines is the world's largest airline. We partner with them. F45 is the world's largest and fastest growing gym network. We partner with them. Lululemon was, and it still is. I mean, it's considered the top in terms of its position in athleisure. We partnered with them. So I think a lot of times entrepreneurs think they need to start small and then go big. And I think that when you're like discussing risk, that's something that's tremendously important. But when you're thinking about partnerships and other people bringing things to the table, you should start bigger. And then if you have to, work your way back from there. Because a lot of times the larger brands will give you more than you expect. And so I think that that's something that we've done that's really set the tone for all of the huge partnerships.
So you opened up a flagship store right in the center of the most iconic mall in Los Angeles. Can you tell us about the experience and decision-making process that led you to finally owning your own retail store?
Yeah, so I think that's, it was 10 years in the making. We had a lot of opportunities before then, but for us, like opening our flagship at the Grove was Ryan and I's goal from the beginning. And we didn't want to open our first flagship, even though we sold countless places across the world, until we had that opportunity. And so the space is tremendously unique. It has 32-foot ceilings. It's 165 feet deep. It's only 22 feet wide. So it's dimensionally unlike most physical retail spaces. And Los Angeles is the city of angels. And so what we wanted to do is have the space and be inspired by the city. So it felt like you were walking into heaven. So even if you look down at the floor comes from the Roman Colosseum. And the thought process behind that was that was built to last and has been here for 2,000 plus years. So it'll last 20 plus. And so that was what the idea is. And we wanted to make it so that the experience was like unlike anything else. So when you walk in, shoes float against the wall. You can explore it and check out at any point of the store. So whether you walk in and you see the first shoe you want and want to buy it right away, you can. There's no cash register. And for us, we wanted to create an experience that truthfully is unlike any other. It's the highest in terms of footwear. Like I guarantee if you walk into the APL flagship store after all of this is done and you compare it to what any other footwear experience is like, it's second to none, and it's just different. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create that one in our hometown. Like, Dan, I don't know if you came to the opening, but we were expecting 750 people there, and 5,500 showed up. Exactly. And so it was much larger than we expected, but that set the tone for what's to come. And our goal over the next, and it's a long horizon, 10 years, is to have APL flagships in key gateway cities so that you can experience the APL experience in all of these different places. And then it ties back to our website. Because again, I think that I was listening to what you were speaking about before when you talk about different social channels and whatnot and being omnipresent. And I think that physical retail is the same as social, as the same as e-commerce. And you got to make sure that you show up the same type of way, regardless of what the platform is. And so for us, like building that first flagship the way we did, and like you said, the most iconic space in Los Angeles, and building the best and most beautiful store in that space set the tone of what's about to come.
Awesome. Can you tell us what the load and launch patent is and how it came to be?
Yeah, so I actually think like there's no better time than now to talk about it, because with basketball's top of mind because of The Last Dance and everything like that. But we created load and launch technology literally just for ourselves, because we wanted to, I mean, you can't tell from looking at the screen, but Ryan and I played basketball and football at USC. Like, we're both 6 feet, we're not 6'10". So we wanted to create a technology that would instantly make us jump higher. So we created this technology literally for ourselves, and then built the shoes around the technology. And then the average athlete gets 1 to 3.5 inch increase. The better the athlete, the better the results. And it ended up getting banned by the NBA for performance enhancing reasons. So it was the first shoe ever banned by the NBA for performance enhancing reasons. And we've created derivatives of it since then. And we have a lot more to come, since this is the 10-year anniversary. But we really created it for ourselves because we wanted to jump as high as we possibly could. And at the time, all the other sneaker companies were focusing on putting technology in the heel. We wanted to put it in the forefoot because that's where jumping actually happened. And so that's what we did. We built it for ourselves. I mean, we were hoping for success. We never expected it to get banned by the NBA the way it did. And then when it happened, it was the #1 news story in the world, number 2, 3, and 17 most searched terms on Google. We sold 9 months worth of inventory in 3 days. And to this day, we've self-financed. We never raised outside capital. And I think that's one of the moments of the low and launch technology is the reason why we're able to do the things that we are today. And so, but it really, like, back to my first point, we created something for ourselves. And it wasn't that we were trying to monetize it or anything. We were trying to create a technology for ourselves, and we turned that into the shoes that eventually got banned by the NBA.
That's awesome. So we talked earlier about the major competition with such few players in the shoe game, but humongous players. You went the luxury route, the luxury performance route. How did you get all these luxury retailers to buy into a brand when they have these other options with these billion-dollar companies?
I have a good story. It's not too long, but it started with Saks Fifth Avenue Men's. And which is funny because now 66% of our business is women's. We still have a great men's business, but women buy at a much faster and repeat rate. But we did a pop-up with Saks Fifth Avenue in 2012 around our basketball shoes. It only in the Beverly Hills store, and it was a tremendous success. And they wanted to carry it in store, and Ryan and I didn't feel like it was right at the time because the first 4 years we were only online. We wanted to wait till we had running product. And so the night before our meeting with Saks Fifth Avenue, because they told us, let us know whenever you're interested. The night before, Ryan and I are talking with our parents because we didn't have that many like professional meetings with big retailers at this point. And they were like, you guys should wear suits to the meeting with the Saks Fifth Avenue buyers. And like, Dan, you know me, I'm not a suit guy. And so so Ryan and I were like, we feel like we should go as ourselves. And long story short, we end up going dressed as ourselves, wearing APLs. And when we walk in, we met with the GMM, who's the top dog. And he's like, this is what we're trying to sell. And then he was like, I want a pair of the shoes because I want to train in them, but I want to wear them like this. And so I think had we gone in wearing suits, it probably wouldn't have gone our way. But since we went in as ourselves, he was like, this is the image that we're trying to sell. Not Adam and Ryan, but like, that you're wearing, I guess, like comfortable clothes with performance shoes that you could wear in any type of setting. And so he bought in right away. And then after him, Net-a-Porter, who at the time was the largest player in the space for women, we started selling with them. We became the fastest selling new designer of all time. Hit our season's target sell through in 6 days. That was January 1st, 2015. And from there, all of the buyers across the world in the luxury space will keep refreshing Net-a-Porter and see who the players were. And it was really only us, Nike, and I think Adidas at the time. And so we were the only brand that was, I'd say, different and not mass. And so we had all of the luxury players start coming to us. So we actually never had to go out and try to be, I guess, salesmen, even though Ryan and I did the sales. So we were lucky that I think we made a decision early on that ended up paying off. But all of the retailers end up coming to us, and we would say no to people that weren't top tier luxury ones. And all of the luxury players, we would say yes, and we would tell them the terms that we wanted, and thankfully it went our way. And I think distribution is like anything else. The more momentum you have and the cadence in which you push it at dictates how far you can go. And as our wholesale was growing, our e-commerce was continuing to grow too. And the beautiful part about where we are today is nearly 70 to 75% of our business this year will be through our own channels. So not only do we have such a large distribution channel through these luxury retailers, but it also we've been able to grow our own channels, which is obviously the most profitable and the most desirable.
Right.
Awesome. So the focus of APL was originally on shoes before expanding into apparel. How long until that expansion happened? And do you think it's better for entrepreneurs when they first get started to focus on a few products, or make a wide array of products and then see what sticks?
I think it depends on your confidence level. Ryan and I don't ever, and obviously our team don't ever do anything unless we fully believe in it. And our motto internally is solidify before we diversify. And so the reason for that is back to like what I was saying in the beginning about foundation. If you build a really strong house on a beautiful foundation and every layer is done at an amazing level, the house is much stronger. And so if you make a mistake, it won't make the whole house crumble. So like for us, we look at apparel more so as, I guess, to accentuate like different parts of the footwear category. So we will always be a footwear company first and foremost. That's our focus. That's our expertise. Apparel is mostly made to just layer in, just like accessories is. The reason why we did the partnership with American Airlines is because that was an accessory. A bag is different than something we offer, but it gives us a reason to go into that category. So one thing that I think that's important for us is we never try to do anything unless we know we can do it at the highest level and that there's a reason for it. I think when you're building a brand you want to be dynastic, you have to look at it that way. If you just want to do it for a quick buck really quickly, that's not necessarily the approach, because you have to try a lot of things really quickly and see what happens, and then whatever works, chase it. But when you're building something that you want to be around for generations and decades to come, you have to be very careful about the steps that you take. And if every step you take in every category you go into, you're successful in, then that will dictate the future successes. So that's the way that we view what we've done with APL. I don't think there's one piece of advice that's universal that should go for everybody, but for us, that's been the strongest approach. And we're more than a decade in now and hitting our largest growth rate in recent years. So I think that that's also very rare, but that's because, again, we solidify before we diversify.
So my last question is, when you did that deal with Star Wars for your shoes, how did you take the actual stars and put them onto the shoes? Because it really looks like they're actually the stars.
They're good.
So believe that we did that partnership with Swarovski, and that was one of the longest developments we've ever done. So it's crushed crystals in a random pattern like the stars. And I think a lot of people didn't necessarily appreciate it when they first saw it until they saw it in person, but that was an 18-month process with them to try and make it do literally what you just said. So I am super happy that that's what your thought was, because we wanted those crystals to represent the stars in the sky. And if every single shoe is different than the other. So like most of the time when you see us either do like a marble, stars, crystals, anything like that, every single shoe is a unique piece. And that was a really long process, but ended up being a tremendous partnership for us that we launched on May the 4th. So that was a cool, I could say, like cherry on top.
That's awesome. Tell people where they can find you personally and your brand.
So on Instagram, it's at APL. The website's aplshoes.com. And then my handle is just Adam Goldston.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so you've been watching Elevator Nights, our weekly every single Sunday night from 5 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing different giveaways, prizes, trying to keep you guys entertained and interactive. Next Sunday, it's going to be the beauty industry. So please join us then. Coming from Dan Fleyshman, Casey, at Casey Loves Fitness, and our co-host Riley, signing off. Thank you, guys.
Bye, good night.
Bye.